economy has reached a historic milestone, crossing the $100 billion mark for the first time since independence. Presenting the 2026 Media Budget Review in Parliament, Finance Minister Dr. KCL Ato-Forson described the achievement as proof of strong economic recovery, fiscal discipline, and prudent management. The minister also confirmed that government will not seek supplementary estimates, with expenditure remaining within the framework already approved by Parliament. Now, according to him, the economy grew by 6.0% in 2025, the fastest rate since 2019, while non-oil GDP expanded by 7.6%, the highest in 14 years. But beyond these positive macroeconomic figures, Ghanaians continue to ask, what is causing the high cost of living? Why the unemployment? Why the rising business costs? And why the limited disposable income? Despite all these macroeconomic indicators, the question mainly we would ask is, are these economic gains translating into real improvement in the lives of ordinary Ghanaians? Can this growth be sustained? And what will it mean for key sectors such as roads, education, and infrastructure? Today with my panel, we'll break down the key highlights of the media budget review and what they mean for Ghana's economic future, paying more emphasis on the economy, on roads, and on education. Also on the program this morning, we will discuss the conviction and the 20-year jail sentence handed to the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Bernard Entwi-Buesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, for the illegal mining-related offenses. Now, this has sparked intense political and public debate, while the minority in Parliament insists that he is a political prisoner and is accusing the government of selective justice. The environmentalists and anti-Galamsey advocates have also hailed the ruling as a landmark victory in the fight against illegal mining. So, is Chairman Wontumi a victim of political persecution, or is this simply the law taking its course? And what precedent does the judgment set for Ghana's campaign against Galamsey? Then we top it with this icing. The U.S. immigration judge has ruled that corruption allegations submitted by Ghana's Office of the Special Prosecutor against former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta lacked sufficient credibility for the purposes of his permanent residency application. The OSP, however, insists that the ruling has no bearing on criminal investigations in Ghana, and it maintains that Mr. Ofori-Atta remains wanted and a subject of extradition proceedings. The question we'll be asking this morning and trying to understand is, does the U.S. decision undermine the credibility of the OSP's case, or are the two legal processes entirely separate? We'll examine the legal and political implications with my legal team, with the lawyers on set, and try and understand. Current Agenda is proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa and the NPA. We'll be right back after this break.
Back and stay safe. The National Petroleum Authority is cautioning the public to desist from scooping or fetching fuel from overturned fuel tankers at accident scenes. Do not get closer to the scene in an attempt to take videos or pictures. Inhaling the petroleum product is detrimental to your health. Worst of all, petroleum products are volatile and highly flammable, and a small spark can trigger a catastrophic explosion, causing deaths and loss of property. Call the Ghana Fire Service or Ghana Police personnel to handle the scene, or reach the National Petroleum Authority's contact center on 0302 550 380. Your life is worth more than a gallon of fuel. This Save a Life campaign is from the National Petroleum Authority.
From the heart of Africa we stand, building dreams across the land. Every step we take your side, helping you rise, taking you higher. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. BOA, we go there for you night and day. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
The Executive Board of the IMF is expected to approve the final review of Ghana's Extended Credit Facility Program, bringing to a successful conclusion the financial bailout IMF program. The Executive Board is also expected to approve a 36-month policy coordination instrument, a non-financing arrangement designed for countries that no longer have and are not expected to face balance of payment needs. Mr. Speaker, the PCI will anchor our next phase of reforms, strengthening macroeconomic resilience, support broad-based growth, and signal our unwavering commitment to sound and disciplined macroeconomic policy. The PCI will support reforms across 6 priority areas. First is to maintain growth-friendly fiscal consolidation. Second is to preserve debt sustainability. Third is to strengthen fiscal transparency and governance. The fourth is to enhance monetary and exchange rate policy framework. The fifth is to reinforce financial sector stability. And finally, to promote economic diversity and inclusive growth. The government has paid a total of $2.1 billion in principal and interest to Eurobond holders without placing undue pressure on Ghana's foreign exchange reserves. Right, Honorable Speaker, there was a time when the world doubted us. Today, every payment made on time answers that doubt, assuring bondholders in London, pension funds in New York, and investors at home that our word is our bond. Payment after payment, coupon after coupon, Ghana is proving one thing beyond dispute. We now keep our word. We now keep our word. That is how market confidence is rebuilt, not through speeches, but through repayment. Mr. Speaker, financial markets have delivered their verdict on Ghana's disciplined fiscal policies and prudent debt management. Right, Honorable Speaker, borrowing costs are down by half. In other words, government is borrowing less. That alone has saved us, this country, 4.2 billion cedis in just 6 months. Inflation has more than halved, falling from 13.7% in June 2025 to 5.3% by end of June 2026, against a target of 8 plus or minus 1% at the end of the year. The primary balance recorded a surplus of 0.9% of GDP on commitment basis, firmly on track to achieve our end-year target of 1.5% of GDP. Gross international reserves was 5 months of import cover as at end of June 2026, exceeding the target of at least 3 months of import cover. Mr. Speaker, January to June 2026, fiscal performance. Mr. Speaker, the provisional fiscal performance for the first half of 2026 is presented against the following approved 2026 fiscal target. Overall deficit target on commitment basis of 2.2% of GDP, primary surplus of 1.5% of the GDP, overall deficit on cash basis of 4% of GDP, and primary surplus on a cash basis of 0.4% of GDP. But Mr. Speaker, provisional fiscal outturn for the first half of 2026 was stronger than anticipated, indicating continued prudence in fiscal management and enhancing the government fiscal consolidation agenda.
Well, welcome back. You heard all the figures, all the jargons being thrown. We are now taxiing on the tarmac, and we're just about to take off. We have arrived. Technically, we are recording some of the best figures we have seen in over a decade, and it gives reason to be proud as a Ghanaian hearing this. Now, what we would do is, as a people over the years, we've heard a lot of these talks. Some have come with Bible quotations and all that. And later we realized that on the streets, in our pockets, in our lives, what was said and what we are feeling do not agree. And so this morning, I have 2 professors and a honorable member with me to discuss the figures, to understand what it really means for you and I. Now, the minister has said what he has to say to Parliament. Now we're speaking to you at home this morning. What does it mean when we are saying GDP is this, when we are saying growth is this, when we are saying inflation is this, all that? What does it mean for you? For your child that goes to school, what does it mean? For the road in your area, what does it mean? For your salary and your purchasing power, what does it mean? That's what we are going to discuss this morning. To help me do the discussion this morning, I would introduce my first set of guests. I have with me in studio the MP for Navrongo Central. He's a Honorable Simon Akimbige Aworigo. Kibange. Okay, Aworigo. That Aworigo, I got it correct. That's correct. Okay. Well, do you prefer Simon or Simon? Simon. The name is actually Simon. Simon. Yes. Okay. So Simon Aworigo. Honorable, good morning. Good morning. I hope you are good. Very well, thank you. And yourself? I'm great. I'm sure you were there when the budget was being read. I was right there. Right. Okay. Right, clear. Right. So we'll come to you. Then also in studio, I have with me Professor Isaac Buedi. He's a dean, the Faculty of Accounting and Finance at the UPSA, and also the Director for Institute of Economic Research and Public Policy. Prof, good morning. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Very well. Right. Okay. Then also I have another professor joining me via Zoom, Professor Lord Mensah. He's an economist and he's also the head of local government service. Prof, good morning.
Good morning. If you can hear me loud and clear. I
can hear you very loud and clear. I hear you've woken up very early just to make this happen for us.
I am telling you.
Thank you.
But for God and country.
I understand. Thank you. Anyway, so Prof, since you are early in the day, let me just start with you before I come to my in studio. Hearing the finance minister read the budget that was, or the media review that was done, what sense of pride or gratitude or otherwise did you have as a citizen of Ghana?
Very good question to ask. Let me say good morning to Ghanaians and good morning to all those in the studio. I mean, clearly, it gives you a sign of hope, in a sense that a country that has slipped into, economic difficulty, coming out of it is tough. And history, economically, has given us, some lessons to learn. And there's no way we can throw that away. Every country that slips into economic difficulty and tends to come out from that difficulty, in the process, if you don't take care, you can easily slip back into that difficulty. And within the 3 years that you are lifting yourself up from that difficulty, if you don't take care. So I see the budget as a budget that has been read, but then in the end, the finance minister is more cautious about what happened to the economy, and in the end protecting the economy to the level where we may find ourselves not to go back into that difficulty. Like I said earlier, what sends economies into difficulty? It has to do with financial indiscipline. It has to do with people being over-pampered and getting what they want. But then anytime you slip into that difficulty and you want to pick up your lessons, what you have to note clearly is that if you were over-pampering the people, if it turns up that their investment returns were high, to some difficult, they have to cut down interest rate and all those. If you're a finance minister and you are handling such an economy which is so fragile to that effect, you, in the process of coming out, you really have to be careful. And I know Mr. Atuforsen, Dr. Atuforsen has stood up to that and been very much aware of this history that has, I can give you examples. I mean, Greek was in the same problem, slipped into economic difficulty. In the process of coming out, they slipped back again. Argentina was one of them. So you cannot take the transition that we find ourselves in, for granted. And as a result of that, we really have to be careful how we spend. And so if we are boasting of prudent economic, management, it's something that we Ghanaians must embrace. We will spend all right, but we have to, find, the sensitive places of the economy that will help, growth to be sustained. And that is what, I think the current finance minister is doing. If you look at, the numbers that were being churned out, I mean, the GDP growth, interest rates, coming down, inflation dropping drastically, almost into the single digit, and projecting it into the single digit, clearly give certain hope. And let's not take this for granted. There is always a time lag, and especially when you want the macro indicators to transcend into the levels of the micro. Somebody will say, if interest rates are coming down, do I walk to the bank and have access to funding easily? If inflation is, down, can I easily, go to the market and be sure of price stability? Clearly, our market women can testify to this. We cannot have, the macro, transmitting directly into the micro level overnight. And looking at the inconsistencies and over the years, how the market has performed, at least we can be sure of certain levels of price stability. Those salaries that we collect, we can be sure that at the end of the day, when you go to the market, your wife will not come and ask for, what we call it, housekeeping increment, because the last Friday when he went to the market, it turns up that prices go up the following Friday. That stability is being. So from where I sit, I think it's a budget that we see a strong macroeconomic front, but then the transition into the micro, which is quite a bit slow, but then that is typical of an economy has slipped into difficulty and try to right. Let us not rush into putting pressure on the minister to go all out to spend, because if the economy is picking up and you don't take care and you are spending in all areas, you end up slipping back into the difficulty that you were in. So I mean, clearly I see certain hopes, because at least those who have invested, they are sure of their investment. They are sure of their investment in the sense that if you look at the yield curve, if I say the yield curve, what I mean is that the short-term interest rate relative to the long-term interest rate over their time span, there is hope, because the long-term is giving you higher yield than the short-term, even within the treasury bill space. For some consistent number of months, clearly anytime you visit the market, you can see that the 360 is of higher rate than the 91 day, which is a clear signal that some confidence, because these are key indicators that economies don't take for granted. Because if you want to invest in relatively long term, you have to look at what yield can offer you. So it's a preparation towards long term investment, like raising bonds and other things beyond the 1 year treasury bills. If the signals are not that clear, for instance, if we turn up to have short-term rate like 91 day being higher than the 360 days treasury bills, then it gives you the signal that look, the investor demand, because interest rate is the price of money, and at the end of the day, it tells you that if the investor demand is on short term, then it means that you cannot raise money in the long term. But that is not the case now. The case now is that we have that upward sloping, which is a clear signal of economic hope. Any investment that you are doing, you may have to look at what? The long term. And in the long term, if we have monies being offered for long term, government should be able to raise money for capital investment, like roads and other things. So from where I sit, I think, the signals are good, but let's not place too much pressure to slip back. Let's, not hasten and ensure that we lift ourselves from, that economic difficulty that we found ourselves in, with peace and then, possible stability, going forward. Thank you.
Yes. So one more question before I come in studio. Now, if you read the paragraph 11 and 12 of the minister's statement, he referenced the Public Finance Management Act, which mandates the minister to present to Parliament a mid-year fiscal policy review, not later than 31st July. Now, the objective of this exercise, he explains in the paragraph 12, to be that he's supposed to present account for the performance of the economy against the targets that was approved by Parliament at the beginning of the year. And so if you look at the parameters that had been set, end of year, we're looking at GDP growth of 4.8%. Minister has indicated that even ahead of that, we have exceeded halfway through the year. Non-oil GDP growth of 4.9%, we have exceeded, if I remember correctly. End of year inflation of 8 plus or minus 2, so minimum of 6, maximum of 10, and then a primary surplus of 1.5. We are already doing 0.9. It gives an indication that we are on the right trajectory, and if you continue what it is that we are doing, then we should end the year very well. Is that not the case?
Yeah, that's the case. I mean, the sense of every budget review. Budget is a projection. Of course, we for us, our constitution mandates the finance minister to read budget in November, feeding into the next ensuing year. And so, if you get into the mid-year, you have to come back and say, oh yes, those are the numbers I projected. Are they falling through? If they are falling through, then it means we are on the right trajectory. Let's continue to hold on to what we are doing. Let's continue to ensure that we spend wisely and possibly find avenues of increasing the revenue that we look out for. If you take our mind back over the years, we keep on hitting on expenditure. But the question we used to ask is that, have you thought of the revenue side of our budget lines? If the revenue side is not doing well, it doesn't matter how much comes into the kitty, you can end up with it. And especially when you are spending to make sure that people are really happy. And in the end, if you are spending and you're spending prudently to ensure that you're rushing the limited resources available and you are getting these economic indicators, that's a clear signal that you are doing the right thing. And we may have to continue in that trajectory.
Right. Thank you. So let me come in studio, Honorable. So we hear the minister say that it's come to Parliament. It's not asking for its revenue budget to be reviewed upwards or lower. It's not asking for its expense budget or expenditure budget to be reviewed. In fact, the only thing he was seeking to do is, in one of the lines, vary it, spend less on a particular one, and take the difference and rather go and spend on another line. But technically, the overall expenditure, he's keeping it. That should have given, that gives you a bit of confidence in Parliament that, wow, this man standing here knows what he's about. If he's not coming to us for more money, he's not coming to us that I can't be able to do the things I had projected. In Parliament, when you heard this, what was the feeling?
Thank you very much, Kojo. Let me begin by saying a very good morning to the people of Bongo Central and to all our viewers. I sit in Parliament at their pleasure, and so it would be very remiss of me not to say good morning to them. I felt very happy, and I'm sure lots of Ghanaians watching and listening were very pleased to hear that. A finance minister came with a budget and comes back to say that I want to stick to what I came to you with. The money I asked to spend, I'm spending within that limit. That gives comfort. That shows somebody who has a handle on what they're doing. And so, I can only say that well done to him and his team, to the government of John Dramani Mahama, the NDC. It is great. All the figures are right. The expenditures are going to the right places. And just as Prof said, it's about spending at the right places. It's not about putting too much money into the system, which may disrupt the indicators as it is. You want to make sure that money comes in and that money is spent at the right places, and that's what he's doing. And so I am pleased, particularly spending on agriculture, spending on roads, spending on education, health. These are the key areas that will keep our economy together. So I was pleased. We gave him all the applause he needed, all the years that he needed to get. We got it. I told his force.
One side gave him all the
no, but the thing is, even the other side, they know it. They know the truth. It's just that if they don't want to say it, there are people out on the other side who also know that. The truth is the truth. The facts are the facts. All go to the same market. All, live in the same country. So if interest rates are low, it's not politics. the facts are out there. Treasury bills interest are low. Bonds are being repaid, and all the rest of it. So it's for all of us. These are not things that you can play politics with. And I can only encourage the minister to keep on keeping within the expenditure that he planned to do, and then ensure the economy remains stable. The point about this thing is that they are not cast in stone. It depends on how you manage it. And so if you don't manage them very well, they can fall off and then begin to create problems again. We've seen that before, where inflation was over the roof, where interest rates were skyrocketing, all of that. It's been 1.5 years of hard work by the finance minister and his team, and we really want to ensure that this continues for the rest of the time and going into the future.
What are the high points for you when in Parliament?
The high points for me were when I heard about the money dedicated for the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. The fact that $1.7 billion has been ring-fenced and put aside for that to start when all the other works are done. The fact that new schools will be built, 10 of them each region. of schools. And so in the education sector, I was, because that's where all the skills and all what we need to develop our country will come from, our young people, the next generation. So that I was impressed about that. Our health sector, I mean, that's an important area that we need to ensure that we invest in there. So I was also happy about that. I mean, for the people of Navrongo Central, the Tumu-Navrongo Road remains key and very important. We are close neighbors, and yet it takes over 4 hours to drive from Navrongo to Tumu or to the Upper West region, and that doesn't help in, I mean, developing the economy around that area. I mean, recently I used that road and I saw great progress. I mean, you now do less than 3 hours to get to Tumu, and once it's completed, that will be done. And so it is for many other parts of our country. So
the executive
for me, those
board
were the highlights that I took away with. I mean, spending on the very poor, core poor of our society. I mean, that money has been made available, so we'll try and lift people from below the poverty line to a level where they can also become part of a good living in the country.
If you pick some critical sectors, roads, education, health, we'll come into those details later. But let me move on to Prof. Before I do, let me introduce or welcome Enoch Afokwa. He's a member of the MPP legal team. Good morning. I like your talk with your bossy. Right. We'll talk about good this morning. You know why. I'll come back to you, Prof. I mean, I've heard from Prof. Lord. I've heard from Honorable Simon. As an academician, when you heard the statement being read, what was the general feeling for you as an academician?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to all. Good morning to Prof. It's been a while. Good to see you again. And good morning to your viewers as well. Assessments are good. And that is what we do in our field. That every day we assess students. And when we want to assess a student, you have to look at the positives and negatives. It's sometimes wrong when you focus so much on the positives and also look at the negatives. It's also wrong, you look at the negatives, you don't look at the positives. Then you could be able to help students. And the same thing that we are doing today. The economic data looks impressive, and it's on record that we have seen a drop in inflation from 23 to today 5.4. We have seen a decline in interest rates. We have seen exchange rates improving. I mean, the public debt, a drop. And then on reserves, we have seen a major jump. So we say that, yes, they look impressive. And they also deserve some recognitions. It's very important that we do this all the time. We may have issues with respect to how we aggregate or how we arrive at all these values. Because if you take that of public debt, we have seen a reduction, but don't forget, we have rebased our economy. So there will be a drop. Don't also forget about various injections to the system. But the point is that, let's put everything together. It happened under this administration. So we give credit to the administration on the economic front. We have also seen some improvement in terms of ECOWAS convergence criteria, that we have met most of the threshold, and I'll come back to that later. We have also exited from IMF program, which is also a plus that we must give to this administration. But then, if you flip the coin or change the emphasis, the economic data we see and that of our lived experiences, the gap always difficult to close. And that is what we have now. The gap between the economic data and that of our personal experiences. And you alluded to the fact that people keep complaining. They talk about the difficulties transportations, rent, payment of school fees and the rent are difficult. There'll always be a lag, but when the lag is sustained for a long time, we have a problem. So going to the budget, just like any other Ghanaian, we all had expectations that we wanted to hear certain things in the budget that also will motivate all of us to calm our nerves. I gauged this administration going to the 2024, the mid-year budget, 2025, 26. I gauged the ability of this administration in terms of investment in infrastructure projects, financing developmental projects, and the ability of this administration to also respond to economic challenges as and when they do come. And all this will be focused on our inability in doing all this to sustain the debt sustainability threshold. So these were some of the things that I was expecting from the budget. Again, I was also looking at situations where how much we have spent as a country within the first quarter, the first year, was going to be discussed and to tell us. Because prior to this, we're having issues with the budget allocations. And I've been saying this, if you want to know the real budget, don't always look at how much the allocations, but go into the appropriation, the bill. That is where you see the actual money allocated to these sectors. Remember, go into the budget. The Minister of Finance and the Minister of Agric had issues in terms of how much they allocated. Minister of Finance tells the country, I allocated 1.5. Then the Minister of Agriculture says, I had 900 and something. And we are talking about the media review, because the media review only will evaluate implementations of an approved budget. That is all it will give you. You evaluate the implementations of an approved budget. So I was of the view that I was going to hear how much the minister allocated to that ministry, because it was on public discussions. Some payment had been made for arrears, because when they took over in 2025, we're told they had uncovered some projects that were not approved, that were paid. So they did an audit. And in the audit, they uncovered almost, I think, 65 billion or so. And then, when they finished the audit, they paid 13 billion. So I was trying to find out how much had actually been paid. There was something on 24, I think the big push project of the 24, I've forgotten about it, 110 or so. I think 24-hour economy, I'm sent for correction. They were looking for 3 different sources of financing that project. One will be on private, the banks, the investment, companies coming to help. I don't know where we are now with those sources of funding to support those people. So these were some of the expectations that I had. Let's go into the actual document presented by the minister on that day.
Okay. So we hold on that one. We'll come to that one. We'll go into actual document.
That's okay.
The preliminary.
Oh, that's okay.
So I'll come back to you on that one. So the minority, which side you belong to, right after, had a press conference and was speaking to what had been read not to be that impressive. It comes across when you read on social media, feedback you're getting, Ghanaians are impressed. Is it the case that minority is just opposing because that's what minority is expected to do? Okay, so let me just understand the essential. So let's have a quick break. We will get back to you right after this.
And stay safe. The National Petroleum Authority is cautioning the public to desist from scooping or fetching fuel from overturned fuel tankers at accident scenes. Do not get closer to the scene in an attempt to take videos or pictures. Inhaling the petroleum product is detrimental to your health. Worst of all, petroleum products are volatile and highly flammable, and a small spark can trigger a catastrophic explosion, causing deaths and loss of property. Call the Ghana Fire Service or Ghana Police personnel to handle the scene, or reach the National Petroleum Authority's contact center on 0302 550 380. Your life is worth more than a gallon of fuel. This Save a Life campaign is from the National Petroleum Authority.
From the heart of Africa we stand, building dreams across the land. Every step we dey your side, helping you rise, taking you higher.
Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. BOA, we go there for you night and day. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
The Publican AI trade solution was fully deployed in March 2026, and the results has been remarkable. Mr. Speaker, between the pilot phase, January and February, and the full rollout phase, March to 17 July 2026, the Publican AI trade solution increased assessed customs collection by over $300 million, representing 17.5% uplift over the values originally declared by importers. Mr. Speaker, Publican increased the aggregate declared costs, insurance and freight value of imports by approximately 6.3%, but increased the assessed collection by 17.5%. Since deployment, Mr. Speaker, the system has analyzed approximately 366,000 import declarations, nearly 1 in every 4, representing 24%, triggered more than one valuation risk indicator, requiring further review by customs officials. Before the deployment of the Publican AI, many of these declarations would have been cleared without scrutiny, leading to substantially revenue losses, Mr. Speaker, on a cash basis of 0.4% of GDP. But, Mr. Speaker, provisional fiscal outturn for the first half of 2026 was stronger than anticipated, indicating continued prudence in fiscal management and enhancing the government fiscal consolidation agenda. Non-oil tax revenue, as at end of June 2026, was 6.4% of GDP, compared to a target of 6.5% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, domestic revenue reached 7.7% of GDP by June 2026, compared to the target of 7.8% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, total revenue and grants reached 7.8% of GDP by June 2026, compared to a target of 7.9% of GDP. Total expenditure on commitment basis at the end of June 2026 was 8.0% of GDP against the half-year target of 9.9% of GDP. Primary expenditure, which excludes interest payment, was 6.6% of GDP by June 2026, compared to half-year target of 8.1% of GDP. Interest costs at 1.3% of GDP as at the end of June 2026, against the half-year target of 1.8% of GDP, indicating that we have saved on interest about 0.5% of GDP.
Let me serve a warning to the Attorney General that the ravening clouds shall no longer be victorious. They shall not long possess the sky. Be careful. 2028, you'll be in opposition. 2028. If you are not careful, Mr. Speaker, if you don't stop now, you will go and meet Wontumi there, and Wontumi will be out, and you will go in. So I'm advising you, let us all be measured. We welcome the reforms by the finance minister, and for the first time, he did something patriotic by acknowledging the digitalization reforms we introduced in government payments. Today he has acknowledged it. Mr. Speaker, we commend you for acknowledging MPP. We commend you, but you can do better. Tell your government to free all political prisoners. Dr. Atuforsen, tell your government to free all political prisoners. Wontumi deserve justice. Camilla Al-Azhar deserve justice. The MPs behind me, that you have lined them up for persecution.
Well, so we apologize for the abrupt break. We have to manage some technical issues. We're back. So you were speaking. Before he does, I also introduce Lawyer Powers. He has a new look this morning. Good morning.
We are managing. We are following Prof said. We are following Prof.
You are following Prof.
And Prof. Mention to some point on in terms of, the professor,
focus. Let's go. You're speaking to why the opposition is threatening that in 2028 they'll go out and do all those things that you said. So you're happy about the budget in Ghana. It seems that you are not happy.
Who's happy about the budget in Ghana?
Ghanaians.
And I'm one of them, and I'm not happy about it.
Okay.
So we can't generalize that.
So majority of Ghanaians.
What statistical reports posits that majority of Ghanaians are happy?
I mean, in Parliament, majority of people in Parliament who represent Ghanaians were happy. So it's fair.
The partisan majority. Our Parliament is divided on majority-minority,
yes.
And it's on partisan lines.
Yes.
It is not there in the interest of the state. It is there on partisan interest. So anything, with respect to the honourable member here, sometimes he might have his own reservations, and because it's a whip system, you are equipped in line to do a specific hatchet job, and you do it. You think they don't have minds on their own, but because of the architecture, the structure of our Parliament, you can't have people opposing. There have been several instances where some parliamentarians have had some deferment as far as the position taken by their caucus. And you clearly see what happens in the Republic. PC appear for mentioning them. Are you getting it? So you clearly see that our Parliament is designed on a whip system. Once the caucus takes a decision, whether you are for or against it, you must be for. Look, clearly, when I was listening to an honorable member and he was enumerating the road networks. If he's happy, the road network, road infrastructure, contractors will be on his roads. Infrastructure that are needed in his constituency would have been completed by now. Contractors are on the road. That's the only road in your constituency.
Yes, constituency.
No, and that's the only road in your constituency.
The roads didn't start today. The roads started even before this current.
I'm saying, is that the only road in your constituency?
That is covered under
Another
there are
push.
several other big
The big push project that covers
I
this.
told you some of the big push contractors are even demobilizing from site because of lack of payments.
That's not true. I mean, I'm just giving you a specific example.
This week, before I come to the budget matters, this week, His Excellency the former Vice President did something phenomenal, that needs commendation. As a practicing lawyer and as someone who has handled some of these matters in the courts of the Republic, that some person, a young man belonging to the NDC, is it a youth organizer or something, an organizer of the NDC was arrested for insulting the former Vice President. The police arrested the young man and arraigned him before court. The former Vice President, without notice, his name was used in that Hatchet job. He has issued a public statement that he is disinterested in the matter.
This actually is one of the topics we will discuss.
Oh, sure. Then when I get it, I can elucidate elaborate that because
the Wontumi case, so we can talk about it.
Oh no, that's different.
No, I mean it's part of
the free speech matters and those.
Yes, it's part of the discussions we have.
If you want to arrest people.
Let's deal with the budget. It's your time. You're using
beer. No, I don't mind. He drinks beer and those kind of things. These were false news, but he was not arrested. He has not been arrested up to today. What of the young person? He has been vilified. He has been maligned. He has been chastised in several folds and several manners. I'm coming there. No, I'm coming there. Why wouldn't you have a position on it? Okay. Did we hear anything on the 24-hour economy with regards to the mid-year budget review? What was the contribution of Akokwan Kitenkete, which we are told that the NDC food soldiers who were giving the Akokwan Kitenkete to Rare have consumed them? The minister could not report on the progress of the 800,000 jobs that they purpose to have created.
So in paragraph 613, it's captioned the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program. Mr. Speaker, the 24-hour Economy Authority Act came into force on 19 February, blah, 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 blah. So there's a whole 7 paragraphs on the 24-hour economy. So if you say you didn't hear about
what is actually there?
This investment is talking about 24-hour economy, ending up having 268 fuel stations now running 24 hours, 11 bulk oil depots, 2 oil refineries, 33 manufacturing companies, and 12 public institutions have already adopted multi-shift system. He's spoken about the fact that 11.5 billion in prospective investment across 18 catalytic projects. He's spoken about the fact that there's going to be a 100 megawatt phase of the Buape project, which is expected to commission by June 20. So clearly there are indicators. There's 605 hectares of land under participatory land access, which is currently, so there's a lot of indications. So probably unless you've not read all, but then there's mention of 24-hour economy.
The mere mention of 24-hour economy doesn't mean 24-hour economy is working. Clearly, Prof lectures at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. The Goy filling station at the junction, the UPSA junction, there has been working 24 hours before even the coming into office of the NDC administration. So if you are counting fuel stations that are working 24 hours and you add that, that is disingenuous. If you go to Obuasi Boiti, if you go to Obuasi Tutuka, there is this filling station there which has been working 24 hours. The last time I went to Obuasi, that's why I bought my fuel, and it has been working 24 hours. That's Reliance. Is it Reliance? Yes, Reliance has been working 24 hours ever since at Obuasi Tutuka, because of the security architecture there, that people there do not sleep. So they are comfortable working 24 hours, and it has been there since. So if you are counting how many, 268. Let's go to, how many districts do we have? We have 260 districts, right? And if each district in the past had a fuel station that were working 24 hours, and now you jamboree them and tell the people of Ghana that because of the advent of the 24-hour economy policy, these filling stations are working. It's disingenuous. Government is not working. They did not tell us they were going to do 24-hour market. What products are they going to sell in the 24-hour market? What products? Are we creating a market base for imported products? Are we, as a people, creating a market base for imported products? What interest do we have as a people? When you go to Makola, when you go to Abusu or Kaneshi, when you go to KJTIA, when you go to Tudu and Co, the products that we sell on our markets, how many of them are locally produced? So if the interest of government is to create markets to show during election 2028 to be commissioning markets that we have built 24-hour market, and surprisingly, I was driving on the Asin Fosu Yamransan road, stretch of road, and when I got to Asin Endo, whether is it Eno or Endo, I saw a portion of land being graded. I asked, what is going on here? Just 3 meters from the main road, main Asin Fosu Yamransan road. And so this is the 24-hour market. I asked myself, are we serious as a people? We are currently complaining as to the congestions on our highways. Now, if you are traveling to Kumasi, the number of speed ramps, apart from the usual traffic build-up at Osino and Konongo and those stretches, the speed ramps as a result of the developments along the highways is unbearable. You can't run the speed that you needed to run to be able to meet your travel distance in time. And going forward, we are building markets that will attract people to congregate at a particular center, and we have sited this market closer to the main road, the main highways, to disrupt the traffic flow. And we think we are planning. We think we are thinking. We think so. When you go to Fumso, when you get to Fumso in Adanse Asokwa district, you will see a similar thing. The Fumso market that regularly on Thursdays creates traffic disruption on the Adanse Asokwa to the Asin Fosu stretch of road. Now, in building or constructing 24-hour markets, you have sited the market along the same highway, just 2-3 meters away from the highway. What are we doing to ourselves as a people? Do we think about the safety? Do we think about the efficiency, time, and those kind of things in developing this country? Sometimes when you get to Fumso on Thursdays, you have to stay in traffic for more than an hour because the marketing activity or the train activity is being conducted at the shoulders of the road. The crossing of the abrupt crossing of the road. And in building market, because of a political expediency, you cite the same market because you want people to see that this is the market we say we are building, and we have built it. And does building a market create a 24-hour economy? The 24-hour economy is a demand-driven. So you can build a market, but the market will be there. Haven't you seen some markets that were built in time past? Even on the when you get to Apam Junction, before the expansion of this road infrastructure, that they demolished closer to the former ambulance bay. If you know, there is a junction called Kudalo Junction. I pay attention to detail whenever I'm driving on this our highways. Kudalo Junction at Apam Junction, there was a market there. That market never saw any activity in that market until it was how do you call it? It was destroyed for the purpose of the road expansion, the dual carriage road expansion of the Winneba to Cape Coast Road. So the mere building of a market does not create a 24-hour economy. Impliedly, you must do what we inject or naturally inject the energy for us for the 24-hour market economy to take off. Right. You have discontinued the one nation, one factory policy.
And you end on that one, so I'm moving.
You have discontinued it. And now you will say you are building a market. What are we going to sell? Are we encouraging people to go to China using our artificial sterilization of the market, pumping in forex at a cost to the Bank of Ghana to reduce the rate of the forex rate for people to serve as an incentive for people to go outside Ghana to bring in goods? Check the amount of money that we have consumed in the first quarter, second quarter of this year, third quarter of this year, as far as importation of goods into the country is concerned. And if we are diligent as a people, desirous of developing our economic base, we would have used some of these monies to build local infrastructure and local industries that will produce and create jobs for the teeming unemployed youth in this country.
Okay.
Who will impliedly pay taxes to support the growth of our country. Now look at tax generation, our fiscal policy. We are not getting money. We are not meeting our targets because we are not producing.
We are meeting our targets.
How? If
you go through the Prof, I've always said we are not meeting our targets, but if you look at the summary of the government operations, we seem to be doing relatively well when it comes to revenue generation and even expenditure.
When you brought the Republican here.
Yeah, so I think we can start having a conversation on the entire budget itself.
Yes.
Now we can do that. So let's pick the entire budget under consideration. If you check from the document, this is a record, a book that everyone should have a copy to read. Inflation, there was a statement in paragraph 83 of the document, if you check. Page 83.
Page 83.
83. It states that the administration inherited an inflation past 50%, which is not a fact. We must check, and maybe the minister will be able to correct that. They inherited an inflation of 23%. It wasn't past 50%. It should be checked. Then there was something on ECOWAS, paragraph 83, on page 83. Yeah. We didn't inherit 2025, not 50%. It was 23. And this document must be checked. Then there was something on paragraph, page 16, that we had met all the convergence criteria. We have not met all. We have issue inflation. We didn't meet that target. So we should correct that later. Then, in the presentation on that day, I saw it more of political than a fiscal review of a performance. You see, when you are given a platform, such as the minister had, was to tell the public budget implementation, expenditure executions, and all that. But check the entire document. It's about 99 pages. And we, as an institute, did a quantitative assessment of the entire speech. And I'll draw attention to some of the comments, some of the political statements that were made. And for me, we are building an economy. You inherit an economy for almost 2 years now. You cannot still be making such statements. It won't help. In page 5, paragraph 18, the minister says we inherited an economy on its knees. Page 5 and paragraph 19, reckless spending. Then we have page 10, page 5, which is 19, paragraph 19, lack of accountability. We inherited a collapsed economy, devoted a lot of pages. Then page 8 to 9 said never again. Now, when you put all these together, we'll come to the numbers later. The total pages I've given you. So pages 5 to 10, pages substantially devoted to an inherited crisis and political narrative. When you do this, you then discount the substantive thing that you have to talk about. It is time, not only this advice only to this administration, maybe would-be administrators. It is time to move away from some. You can complain after 6 months when you inherit an economy. But after that, you are complaining about what? You are in charge of the game. So, we should be mindful of those statements. There was something that the minister said, interestingly, and when we were playing the tape, he said he didn't come to the Parliament House to request for additional supplementary budget. Is that a fact?
Yes, that's what he said.
And I can pick the statement here. He said, today, I am not here to seek a supplementary estimate. Yet, in the same speech, the same document, you are calling for 5 billion for Ghana Accelerated National Reserve Accumulation Policy. You are calling for flood interventions. You are calling for Bank of Ghana recapitalization. The sinking fund allocations. Now, I'm wondering why you want to tell the whole country you are not asking for anything supplementary, but yet you are requesting for some of these expenditures. The reason being that you then will be cutting some of the allocations to make that. Then the obvious thing that come with a revised budget. That's the best thing to do. But you didn't do that. But then you are requesting for all these things to be done. Let's look at the heavy reliance on expenditure cuts. Yeah, people have been saying that the administration is prudent, fiscal discipline, prudent management of the economy. We understand. But then the point is that if you are cutting down expenditure, ask yourself, which ones are you cutting? Because the daily ones are there. The wages, the salaries, the debt servicing. In fact, they are mandatory, they are there. And that explains why you check the recent economic and financial data that came, the recent one. You see the net domestic financing. The government tells us the government is not borrowing. We understand. But what about the figures that we see in the net domestic financing? It's borrowing domestically.
But you see, Prof, on the expenditure, now if you look at what was projected to be spent half year, it was supposed to spend 158 million.
Good.
And then per the appropriation he's shown, they spent 127.
Good.
Now, if you look at the various lines, you see where they manage the spending well. Majority comes from interest rate activities. So, i.e., because interest rate has dropped, because the rates on treasury bills have dropped, what they had projected to pay those who are buying the bills, what they had projected to pay international or external debts, those interests have dropped, and that's the savings they have made in the expenditure. So technically, it's not that we are not spending, but because we've been prudent with regards to our interest management. So because interest we're supposed to do domestic, we're supposed to do 24 million, we did 20. External, we're supposed to do 3 million, we did 1.
So we've cut that.
Yes.
The payment on the treasury bills.
Yes.
But every policy you have a trade-off.
Yes.
You think you have saved. What about those who are the recipient of the rate? Your personal life. If I'm going for a product and I used to get 5%, and today you tell me you give me a return on a 2%, what happened to me?
I've made worse off.
Good. So are people also wrong to say that we are not failing because the funds that we have not able to get into the market space? And the expenditure we talked about, you budgeted an expenditure target 9.9 of GDP.
Yes.
The actual stood at 8.0. So technically 1 or so. The point is that you can't call this fiscal discipline. No. Look at delayed projects. The projects that have delayed. Delayed payment. Postponed capital spending. What happened to the roads? What happened to those capital expenditures? They kept per the last report 0.1% of GDP. It says, so if you are spending, we should see where those expenditures are going. Very important. Look at revenue targets. Yes, this administration took off almost 4 different taxes, and that resulted to about 60.4 billion. Yet they also introduced other taxes and extended some of the tax component, which is fine. But look at the revenue. If we are not generating enough revenue, You can't execute all this.
Right.
So if you tell me discipline, if you're not generating enough, how do you spend? Look at the revenue target. Non-oil revenue, the target was what? 6.5. We made actual 6.4. Domestic revenue, I target 7.8. We made 7.7. Total revenue, in terms of percentages, 7.9 against 7.8. So you realize that every revenue target actually failed. So how did they take care of it?
In fact, one of the questions I would ask Prof. Lord. You notice that we did very well when it comes to revenue from company taxes, where the budget was 23 million, but we did 27. Apart from that one, and then maybe on other direct taxes, every other revenue line seemed to be struggling, like you've rightly said. And even with the expense line, you notice that expense are supposed to be made to grant to some other government units like the NHIA and the rest were not done as expected. Because if you check the expense was supposed to be 31 million, but we actually did 26. So that means get fund and the rest, what they are supposed to get, they did not even get the full amount of it.
My worry here is that 2026, 2027, 27, 28, we have debt, future debt maturities. They will mature. We have 58 billion to pay.
Yes.
We have 53 billion to pay. In total, that gives you this agenda 111.
Plus 111 million to pay.
So the issue is that if we are unable to perform, well on these lines, if we are going to have further drops, what happened to this? And the minister tells us, well, they made funds available to take care of. That is good. If the funds are there, we can go to sleep.
Okay. So we apologize again. We need to take a quick break again. We're still having some challenge. We'll resolve it and come back to you quickly. So please bear with us. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back after the break.
Back and stay safe. The National Petroleum Authority is cautioning the public to desist from scooping or fetching fuel from overturned fuel tankers at accident scenes. Do not get closer to the scene in an attempt to take videos or pictures. Inhaling the petroleum product is detrimental to your health. Worst of all, petroleum products are volatile and highly flammable, and a small spark can trigger a catastrophic explosion, causing deaths and loss of property. Call the Ghana Fire Service or Ghana Police personnel to handle the scene, or reach the National Petroleum Authority's contact center on 0302 550 380. Your life is worth more than a gallon of fuel. This Save a Life campaign is from the National Petroleum Authority.
From the heart of Africa we stand, building dreams across the land. Every step we at your side, helping you rise, taking you higher.
Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. BOA, we go there for you night and day. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close.
Kojo, I was equally worried about the revenue, how much we are collecting as a country against the future debts that are yet to mature. Because in 2027, 28, we have huge funds that we have to settle as a country. And we have a heavy reliance on AI and compliance as a way of raking more revenue. Then we have a problem. Because, look, the AI revenue assumptions will have some other challenges. Will have. And therefore, it's important that we find different ways of generating more revenue. An area that I didn't have more idea or some submission from the minister was in the area of the state-owned enterprises. State-owned enterprises. For so very long time, I'm sure these institutions have not brought in the needed funds that we need. So if we are to do something in that space, it will help as a way of generating more revenue into the country. So I think these are the few things that I would say on that.
Yeah. Prof, I agree with you. I have been wondering whether it was a mid-2026 year review or it was a mid-2025 mid-year review. Because when I look at the entire presentation, you could notice that the minister referenced 2021 to 2025 only on a few occasions that he was able to mention or zoom in on 2026. And I'm wondering, because when you look at the law, the parent law, it's supposed to be 2026 mid-year budget review. So, and I was able to tabulate, when you look at paragraphs 1 to 52, 85, 86, 91, 101, even straight to 202. The minister was consistently talking about 2021, 2025, 2020. What about 2026? In fact, at a point I was asking myself, statistically, the economy is healthy. But streetwise and pocket-wise, because the minister himself acknowledged at a point that Ghanaians should bear with the government, because he knows on the grounds people are suffering. Fuel prices are skyrocketing. And the promised job has become a different conversation altogether. And Afwakwa was right when he hinted that the fact that they promise us 133, one job, 3 shifts, 3 people. But now the conversation has changed drastically, and I've been wondering why politicians would always want to shift position after they make highfalutin promises on campaign platforms. Because if that is what we should be saddening ourselves with, and I've had even cause to complain about the way the 1D1F, the 1 District 1 Factory, was in fact managed. And now I've said that we were promised that every district was going to get a factory, which promise I supported, because I'm always saying that we need to, step up our revenue generation, and that can only be done if we create or establish more factories, employ more people, produce more products, consume some locally, and export the rest. But the way the promised jobs is shifting from what was promised Ghanaians, the basis of which Ghanaians voted for the government, to a different conversation altogether, gets me worried. And I think we need to have this major conversation. If a promise is made on a campaign platform, the promise must be kept. I am saying that I have gone through the mid-year budget review, and the data looks good, but streetwise and pocket-wise, Ghanaians or the system is choking Ghanaians. And could you have noted, and like Prof said, the minister was more political than what we expected him to have told us. I was expecting that from January to date, you tell us what has been done. But when you take the entire 99-page document, it was referencing past incidents. And you could count clearly the number of times he's zooming on 2026. And that shouldn't be the conversation. I think maybe Parliament may have to put in place modalities. What should contain in a budget review, because it is.
The minister was categorical. He says that you cannot appreciate where you are if you don't know where you came from.
That conversation has long been had. That conversation about appreciating where we came from has long been had. We are looking for what has been done between January to date. Between January and yesterday. Why was it yesterday?
Yes, June, end of June.
Yes, end of June. That was what we expected from the minister. And again, the fishing sub-sector was not even given a mention. But that sector is struggling. When you look at the data, the Ghana Statistical Service data, the fishing sub-sector is struggling, trending by almost close to 18.5%. There are consequences. Fish. Are you wondering why we'll be exporting or importing fish and other stuff from outside? When we have sea, we have lagoons. I'm saying that there are serious things that must be had. And the minister appears to have glossed over them or decidedly or deliberately decided not to talk about them. These are areas we want to see what you are doing, what the government is doing. As for the data looks good. It's okay. But let it translate into the real life of Ghanaians. That is what the ordinary Ghanaian is more interested in, Koyo. Not the beautiful data you continue to rehearse and mention. That should be the conversation. So, from my personal point of view, I am unimpressed with the work, particularly the job creation aspect. Because a question was thrown at one of the staff at the 24-hour economy secretariat, and he said they've created jobs, but he cannot put figures to that. They should tell us how many jobs they've created. Let's not stop hoodwinking Ghanaians and tell Ghana we've created. How many jobs have you created? Since they assumed the reign of office, within the space of almost 2 years, how many jobs have they created? It's not the crumbs. We're not talking about the crumbs that you throw on the ground for people to pick. Then you think because of the crumbs, you've created enough job for that. No, that wasn't what we signed up for. Because we didn't sign up for crumbs. We signed up for real, tangible jobs. And the government must demonstrate to us how many jobs have they created. And I'm saying that, and I was actually, like Afwakwa said, 24-hour market for what? We already have markets. Why won't you revamp the market we have? Why won't you replenish the old market we have? What is the need for 24-hour market? Sometimes we get our priorities wrong in this country. And not because of politics. What is the need of 24-hour market? What are they coming to sell? Chinese goods or Ghanaian goods? Already our manufacturing companies are underproducing. So what are you going to sell over there? You will see Chinese shoes and Chinese socks and Chinese stuff over there. And Ghanaian products will be struggling. Kojo, let us not be hoodwinked by any data. And I have said, time with that, if I'm giving two data from the government and IMF, I'll take the IMF. Me, I have distrust for data from Ghanaian institutions. Distrust for data from even Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance. I have huge distrust for them. If it is data coming from IMF, World Bank, I'll subscribe to that. Because IMF will always source their data from trusted and reliable sources. Right. But here, because of politics, people will gloss over, they will paint and gloss over so that you feel that they are doing well. But that's what I'm saying, that Kojo, statistically, they are doing well. But street-wise and pocket-wise, the economy is choking Ghanaians.
Right. Thank you. So, Prof. Lord Mensah, I mean, where Powers ended, you made a critical point, which is where he has ended, that we should not automatically assume that once the macro is doing very well, immediately it would have impact on the micro. It seems the major concern for Ghanaians is not really what shows on the paper, but what we feel in our day-to-day living. What would be the realistic timelines to expect that these macro indicators actually have a direct impact on household living? What would be a realistic timeline to have that expectation?
Well, we may be careful how we segregate, the economy. Can you hear me, Kojo?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, but before that, let's be careful how we compare the achievement of the half year to the target that was set for the full year. If you read paragraph 63 all the way down to 163 to 169, clearly the targets that were set, I mean, we're looking at not necessarily the half year target, but we're looking at January to June, how the various revenue and then various indicators have been achieved compared to the year's target that has been set. Where, specifically, it has to be compared to the half-year target. The various paragraphs were clear on it. So we need to take note of that. But then also, let's look at, the returns, the real returns on your investment compared to, the previous years. If you talk about interest rate, falling to, let's say, 25%, and in the end, inflation is hovering around 26%. This is just a scenario. Clearly, the real returns on your investment is negative. It tells you that, as an investor, when you put your money in the bank, what you are earning compared to the rate at which prices are increasing on the market, there's nothing to write home about. We have a situation where Treasury bills is hovering around 12%. Treasury bills, 91 day, is hovering around 8% thereabout, 7% thereabout, and inflation is around 5.3. Clearly, that tells you that when you get your return on investment, part of it that will be swallowed by increment in prices is just 5% of it. That means that you are going to get positive returns on your real returns on your investment. These are things that we may have to put in place to realize whether indeed the economy is getting to the right step of the ordinary Ghanaian or not. Because if you are going to earn your salary and your salary is being increased by 15%, at the end of the day, prices on the market are increasing by 23%. Talking about those days, Kojo, you should be able to appreciate that the increment does not correspond to the rate at which your prices are increasing on the market. And every now and then you will see workers pressing on for increment in salaries, because the reality is that whatever they receive is not matching up with the rate at which prices are increasing on the market. But now, if you go for salary negotiations and you are given 10%, clearly inflation is around 5%. That means, if for nothing at all, you are getting 5% extra, which can go into other investment or other things that you can do at the household level. So I don't agree that the economy has not gotten to our doorstep. The economic indicators are there. I know very well there are some key sectors of the economy. That's why I mentioned earlier that we need to be careful how we segregate the market and how people will feel the market. There are some people or some jobs that clearly they will feel the market not now. It can take about 2 years. Some are immediate, but I can give you a typical example on investment on returns. Those ones, clearly the market detects that and tells you that for now, as we speak, right, Treasury bills are above inflation, which is a good signal. It means that every single investment that you do, you get real returns on them. That is a simple analogy and a simple economic indicator I can use to determine how ordinary person or ordinary consumer can fuel the economy. Salary-wise,
Hello, Prof, can you hear me?
The public sector absorbs chunk of the workforce in the country. If government gives you 10% salary,
hello, Prof, can you hear me?
You will see the real value of it. And so, from where I sit, I think we have to be careful how we talk about whether the economy has been felt by the ordinary Ghanaian or not.
Prof, can you hear me, Prof?
I can hear you.
Okay, right. Now, on that line, if you look at, I'm checking the May 2026 summary of macroeconomic and financial data report by the central bank. Now, it indicates the Treasury instrument 91-day bill at the end of April to be 4.90. That's the rate. 4.9.
At the end of April.
Yes, that's at the end of April.
Oh, the rates, you have to be careful. They are daily rate that rounds. Bank of Ghana can even issue 14-day Treasury bills. So please check the current
this one is a 91
and relate it to inflation.
No, what I'm doing is I'm comparing the same period April, because I don't have the May and June, so I'll compare the same period April to the inflation at that same period.
Right.
Now so the rate was 4.90. Now, if you check the inflation for that same period per the same report, give me a minute and let me indicate that for you. Non-food price inflation year on year was 4.2. From what you said earlier, what it means is that there is a 0.6 margin that a person can use.
That's the real returns on your investment.
But the reality is that, Prof, this 0.6 that I'm making is what, if I'm going to use it at home, I've had an increase in my utility. I've had an increase because in the minister's speech, he indicated that one of the things that has thrown our inflation out was even the trotro fares and then all those things. So realistically, yes, even though there's a 0.6% margin in the gain there, it might end up being eroded by your daily expenses, because your disposable income usage or your consumer price index, if you check, is 244.2, which gives an indication that even though yes, there's some margin, but on an ordinary day, that money probably might not be able to do much. Maybe that's the reason why people are complaining of hardship.
That's not the case. You are comparing the margin that you get. Those margins are more or less what is supposed to go into your savings. We're talking about inflation. That is the aggregated average price increase. You mentioned that to be 4.2. So your daily trotro pickup and all those things are built up into the 4.2. So the extra 0.7 is something that can go into extra investment. So that is not part of your daily, activities or your daily runs. That is what we need to appreciate, Koyo.
Yeah, ask him, and he indicated that everything is indicated. Okay. Honorable.
Everything is in the 4.2.
Yes. I've always asked you whether everything is in the
4.2. This one, students will fail.
Inflation is aggregated. So they put a basket, including the travels and all those indicators that are supposed to go into the basket. So it consumes the 4.2. So the 4.7 that you are getting, that extra 0.7 that you mentioned, is supposed to be an extra investment or your extra savings somewhere.
Okay. So that public service earners have extra savings as a result of the proposition of Prof. Currently.
Yes, they do. Because if you go for salary increment, and then the government says we are giving you 10% increment, right?
Yes.
That is an aggregation. And inflation at the time was hovering around, let's say 5%. As we speak now, 5.3%. What it tells you is that on the average, across all the consumption bands in the country, the consumption of all the goods and services price increment should be around that 5.3%. So if you deduct that from the 10%, that should be an extra investment that you can do on your investment.
Right. Okay.
Bro, that's an implied investment. Extra investment. This is not real. You agree that it's not real. This is only theoretical.
Okay.
It is not real.
It's not.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not. It's only theoretical. It is not applicable in real time situation.
No, you don't need to respond to
with
me.
the numbers, but at the end of the day, we are talking about average. Inflation is an average. That is why I mentioned that you should be careful how you segregate the market and then tell us how the market is held at any point in time.
Thank you.
Some may be lagged, some may even be leading the market.
Okay. Honorable, I've seen that you've made a lot of notes, so I'll give you a bit of. Yes, I've seen you, so I'll give you a bit of time to respond and make your point.
Great. So, a couple of issues have come up, and let me respond to some of them as much as I can. Talking about the 24-hour economy, I think government is on track. The minister spoke about the 24-hour economy. I mean, the 24-hour economy is not outside of the existing economy. It doesn't mean going to create something special outside somewhere. It's about scaling up the already existing jobs that are in the system. It's about making sure that the system runs a triple economy than is currently running. And I know for a fact that, I mean, at GPHA, I mean, they're currently running very active, full scale, 24 hours. I know very well that our security services are recruiting people and ensuring that the security that is needed across the country, it is provided so that people can go about their activities safely across the 24-hour of a day. And so if you say they're not doing anything about the 24-hour economy, then I don't know. We're not gonna. There's not something that you go and pick and say, "Oh, this is the 24-hour economy. This is it. We're doing it." It's all part of the economy that is being run.
You don't need to respond.
No, go on.
So, I mean, with what you just said with regards to the GPHA running a 3,
and that's just an example.
Yes,
and
running a 3.
So it's a 24-hour. You say 3.
Is that no a 3 cycle?
No, a 3 cycle.
Yes,
That's 24 hours. 3 cycle.
So
yes,
it's
3 cycles. They're
interesting.
making 24 hours.
Yes. The reason I'm saying I'm going to make a sweeping comment, which you don't have to respond, is that if you check our expenditure when it comes to compensation of employees, what we had budgeted to do was 45. We actually even did 42.
Yeah.
So for me, if we are running this, and that means we are employing more technically, we should be spending more. So it only means that, like I said, you don't need to respond. It's just.
Let me. I don't mind. I can respond. Okay. So I'm saying that the fact that you're employing more does not necessarily mean that your expenditure necessarily have to increase. It might increase on marginally, but it doesn't have to go. So that if, say, I was employing 10 people, they are just beginners, and I have some top tier level staff retiring at a certain salary scale, employing new people. Right. It doesn't mean that because I am employing, their salaries are going to be the same as the top, and so we'll never have to push it up. So that is a fact. And we're talking about markets and why are we building markets and all of that. I'm thinking, oh really? To the market woman out there, to the person Ghanaian who goes into that market, that's unfair. I mean, I want to choose my words carefully, right? That is not right to say that building markets. We are very aware of the fires that have gutted our markets recently, and so have people's money have collapsed. Means that the money that they used to do businesses is gone, their stock is gone, and all of that. And so we need the markets that are safe. We need the markets that don't need to pack up anytime the clouds are gathering. And so building those markets ensures that market women, market men, and traders stay in there and do their business, ensuring that it is safe. The robberies that go on in those markets we've seen over the years, it's not good. And when you go to the market and you're applying your trade, you want to ensure that your children, if you have a little child, they have a place that they can go whilst you do your trade in peace and knowing. So it's a modernized market to ensure that people conduct their businesses in a safe, sound environment with peace of mind. I don't know how that becomes a waste. And so the market woman out there, for me, if I don't want to, but I think that's insulting to them because we're investing in these modern markets to bring that. And how does that grow the economy? It ensures that if I was to finish work late in the evening and then I wanted to go and buy something and the class were gathering, I'll say no, I won't go. The place will probably not be motorable. But now I know there's a market with an access road and all of that. I can go and still buy what I want to buy, and so that helps to grow the economy. Also, people will pay taxes at the markets, and all of the government raises revenue through that. So it is not true that investing in the modern market is wasteful. In fact, it's actually part of growing the local economy. I spoke about, people are not feeling the economy and all of that. I think, again, the majority of Ghanaians listening to us today will agree that this government has done fantastic.
But are you feeling the economy?
I am feeling the economy. And I tell you why I'm feeling. And I know the response will be, oh, you're in government, so that's not the point I'm making. I tell you something about me. When I want to do a discussion that is based on the things that we're talking about, so I don't want to do too much of the politics of it.
Right.
Yeah? So we in 2024, market price for a bag of rice, and I have things, some data here that prices here I can share. So 25 kg bag of rice, Vietnamese rice, was 516 as of November 2024. Today it's sold at 325 cedis. Local fragrant long grain rice was sold at 525. Today it's sold at 425. Thai fragrant rice was sold at 680. Today sold at 655. I am simply saying that this is how a citizen feels the market. It is not necessarily by going to give them money, but it's also about the fact that prices have dropped, and so it becomes more affordable for them to go into the market and buy
you know
things.
the problem I have with you politicians.
No.
We seem.
But do you get the logic?
I get the logic, and it's based on that logic that I want to make this point.
No.
We always seem to compare our success not by the living standards of the people, but by the standards of the previous administration.
Yeah.
So if we are saying that the NPP government failed, it doesn't mean that if they were at 0 and you are at 1, you are doing better. The Ghanaians deserve 4.
I agree.
You understand?
Yes.
So we should be able to compare our standards properly, and not because we think somebody failed.
Perfect. So this, like I told you, was a response to some statements made earlier on.
Okay.
But the fact remains that we can only keep working on the economy. It is not a one-off thing. We started from somewhere, and that is why I disagree with the statement made by one of our panelists here that Powers, right?
Yeah.
That's the name, right? Yes. That we are not doing very well because we don't seem to be giving money, putting money in people's pockets, and that we're making too much reference to history. It is very, very important that we make a reference to history because we're coming from somewhere. And because we're coming from somewhere, we have to place that in context. So that yesterday, if I was homeless, and today I have a place where I'm sleeping, but it's not the best of places, I need to look back and see that I have made some progress. And that is the progress that we are referring to, that we're steadily making progress. I mean, this was a country in a state of debt distress, where the rating agencies had rubbished us. Today, as we speak, we are back on track. The rating agencies have confidence in us. And these rating agencies are not Ghanaian institutions. If even your argument is that you don't trust data from Ghana, the rating agencies, Fitch and the rest of them, they are not Ghanaians. And so going by that same logic and argument, we are doing very, very well. And so we can only keep working at it. And that is what the finance minister says, that we have to keep making sure that we keep the economy in place, the macroeconomic indicators, ensuring that our interest rates, our exchange rates, and all of those things are steadily going the way they're supposed to go. Fortunately for us today, the price at the pumps are far better than what they used to be, in spite of this US-Iran something going on. It helps to grow the economy. And so for me, I believe that government is doing a good job. The minister is doing a good job, and then we can continue to work at it. The NDC hasn't said, or minister didn't come to parliament to say that they have achieved everything, and so it's fine, we can go to sleep. It says that the work in progress, and that we should keep working on that. I think those are the things that I wanted to speak on.
Right.
And I think Prof also raised something about Prof raised something about the fact that he didn't talk about not meeting some targets. Yes, you know, this is a mid-year review. It is not the whole entire year's budget. So we're coming to tell us what you brought the last year, whether you are on track, whether you need some more money, and all of that. And what he has done is that he has come to say that he's not asking for more money, but he wants to realign some of the things, so that if he felt that some things were no longer things that he feels are a priority, and some new developments have come because of happenings in the economy. They want to shift and do more of those things. I don't think that is a failure, or that means that he's not on track. Like you rightly said, it's just about moving priorities as and when they become necessary. He has made allocation $1.7 billion for the Accra-Kumasi Expressway. That is fantastic and worth commending. And we're saying that we haven't spent, he didn't tell us about expenditures. I, for a fact, know that NHI arrears that have been outstanding for years have been cleared, paid off. I know that Get Fund has got a very huge allocation payments to them so that they can keep doing the work they're doing, ensuring that school infrastructure is built, ensuring that, students get the support they need from very poor backgrounds, get the support they need, and all of that. Right. So that is what I'll say for now.
Okay. We have to move to the next one, but just a minute take from each of you, then we go. No, I'll start with Prof. Then sorry, Prof. No, Prof. You would have to manage it for me because we have two more. Topics.
If you want to realign, just commenting on the honorable comment. If you want to realign, then you come to the parliament with a revised budget. But you don't say that today, I'm not asking for supplementary budget. Yet you find other ways to say you want to cut some budget. No, it's not done that way.
But in the
professionally. No, let me, because you give 1 minute.
A revised budget. It's actually categorized as revised. Maybe he didn't read it, but if you read page 102, it's
revised budget.
Revised budget.
So you should tell us. So why do you say I didn't come with a supplementary budget? So let's get it clear. It's important that people understand some of this.
Asking for money.
All right. You can say you want to realign, but does not be borrowing the words like that. On revenue stream, and I can agree that if you want to do proper analysis, you can't use a whole year against half a year. We understand. Yes. So you set the parameters from the beginning that end of year you want to achieve this amount of revenue. In between, you give an account how much you have achieved. Then it's better to compare the same period to the year
the previous year. Yes.
That's the best way of analyzing this. And we refer to this administration. Let's go back and look at 2025 and 2026, the actual against actual. All the revenue parameters. Half year against is here. For instance, if you check domestic revenue, it fell. They couldn't meet that 97%. As again this year, 98%. You didn't achieve. The same year, check all the parameters here. Tax revenue, non-tax. None were met in 2025. We carry the same thing to this year, half year. And we are all worried because if you're not meeting your targets, then we have a problem with your expenditure. It's a simple thing. But let's go back and see some of the things that I didn't see in the budget, which I was expecting the minister, having gotten that opportunity, you spend more time, you talk about, not the politics. Look, something on the fiscal risk.
Probably try to do that one in 1 minute for me, I beg you.
Commodity risk. As a medical person, they can tell us, if I take this medication in 30 minutes, I'll be fine.
Right.
In the same way, if we have commodity price shocks, what happened to this economy? If we have climate-related disasters, what happened? So these are some geopolitical tensions. The minister should be able to at least give a fair idea. Now look, having gotten time to talk about political issues and giving all the pages in talking about previous achievements and all that, tell us, these are some of the models that the country must not go beyond this.
Right.
Else you have a problem.
Okay, sure. I've got 1 minute.
It's factually inaccurate for the honourable member to say that mid-year budget reviews should not be a review of the entire of the figures, and that the minister failing to disclose figures. That was what he meant. That was what he meant.
He said or he meant?
That was what he said. He stated emphatically that factually he is not required as a mid-year review to give that account, because that is not the end of the budgetary period. That was what he said. If he's forgotten, I'm reminding him. You prepare the budget statement. You prepare the budget statement with certain how do you call it, allocations. Half year, have you met those allocations half year? Because if you say you intended to spend, like the ministry, department agencies that they are indebted to them to the tune of 31 billion. These are ministries are the policy machinery of government. The agencies are the implementing agencies of government, and you have not released the monies that they need to use in furtherance of their policy objectives and those kind of things. How do you expect them to work? Your figures will be nice because you are not paying. Your figures will be nice because contractors are not being paid. Your figures, your inflationary trends will be nice because you are stifling the economy of money and those kind of things. Above all, having achieved those figures, what is the state of the people of Ghana as far as the economy, the entire economy is concerned? My brother was mentioning the prices of a bag of rice, Vietnamese rice and what rice and Thai and those kind of things.
Maize and all that.
Are we encouraging local production? So, if you are making our market, because of the sterilization in the market, because of the artificial pumping of forex to circumvent the real value of the cedi, then aiding importers to bring in more goods. Now, most of these rice farmers are not farming, they are not planting.
But the minister says in his statement that, in fact, what is contributing to our food inflation is even domestic.
That's a lie. That's a complete lie. If imported rice are cheap, as being postulated by the honorable member for Navrongo.
Only talk about imported. I was comparing prices of local.
If the prices are as being set on this platform by the honorable member for Navrongo Central,
yes,
his constituents are largely farmers. What is their status in Navrongo now?
Okay, Powers.
He's happy because he says big push. I believe that all the roads in Navrongo Central are under construction.
Thank you.
And those kind of things.
They are better than
I believe all the roads in Navrongo Central are under construction because it says contractors are on the roads. And the farmers are gratefully employed because their produce are being purchased. They are getting good money for their yields.
And there are more roads that are going.
They are getting good money for their yields.
Better than the past 8
Let's be serious. Let's be serious.
So this is a better government than what we had.
Well, he's representing people, and he should tell us how they are faring.
They're faring very well.
And I believe that the condition in Navrongo Central is very abysmal.
Much better than
the poverty levels in Navrongo Central now because of some of these policies. All these things.
Can I move to the next person, please? Powers.
Cheaper inputs.
Your 1 minute.
Representative.
Yes. So now
I repeat that I'm unimpressed with the media budget.
He said I, not we. I
am also included. I associate with him.
And
we are not impressed.
And see, Kojo, when you read the paragraph, some of them, you could see the dodginess of the minister. In fact, when you look at some of the paragraphs, you see the dodginess.
Example.
Look at paragraph 318.
318.
The minister noted that by the end of June 2026, 13 projects had reached at least 50% completion, including six projects that had exceeded 75%. Which project is he talking about? Which project? Which project is he talking about? He should tell us, give us the list of the projects that are within 50% and 75%. Then we can verify for ourselves. But you can't come to Parliament and throw in some statement and you think we'll just buy it hook, line and sinker. You are presenting real life-changing decision. Big Push is taking huge sums of money from the public purse. So if you have projects, some of which are between 50% and 75% completion, give us the list. Then we'll verify.
Right.
But you just put out the statement and left it. We should not be thinking. Maybe magically we have to consult a chief priest and find out where the projects are located. So, statistically, they are doing well. They can be pandering the figures around. And if this rise, and I was glad you told Honorable that sometimes the comparison scares me because we try to compare our present state with the previous administration, but they tend to forget why they voted the previous government out. Why Ghanaians voted the previous government out? We want a quantifiable improvement in our lives, not to be comparing figures. That NPP was doing it. That's not what we. That's not the conversation.
I have to tell them that it's better than what we get.
Oh wait, you did. No, you told us. You told us when the president had opportunity.
And that today is
better,
and that we are on the road, a journey somewhere, and we are making progress towards that
journey.
So we have to consistently remind them, because you and I have been subjected to something really terrible under 8 years.
I have not been subjected.
I have. So the majority of Ghanaians who overwhelmingly voted for us were. Let them forget about that.
Okay. Let me make my point.
You know, it's me against a group, so.
No. Why is it you against group? A group.
No, they are individuals.
All right.
That's fine.
Yeah, this is very unfair.
No,
because
the thing is that he just said it casually.
No, but you see, the thing is that they should stop comparing the current state to the previous, because the PP is not in power. But you always want to put figures. You want to compare your performance with.
But they need to justify why they have.
You've already done that. That was why you've done that. Why do you keep doing that?
As long as
they have a record to defend in 2020.
Exactly.
So they need to keep doing
that.
The people.
You see, the thing is that
we keep doing that.
We voted for you to tell us what you have done within the space of 1.5 years.
Okay.
And if you always keep referring, then it means that you are not worthy of the vote you were giving.
So, Prof. Your last take on the. In fact, Prof, I'm going to push you a bit. I know you might not be aware, but I know we live around the same area, and flooding seems to be one of the greatest challenges we are facing on that our route. I was expecting in the introductory statement, the minister made mention of issues of flooding, but I said we budgeted for 2027. I don't know what that means for the rest of the year, but your last take on the discussion.
Yeah, clearly we need to appreciate that in budgeting, which the laws, support that, we have what we call the appropriation and reappropriation. If government decide to spend, let's say, 2 billion in a particular year, and at the middle of the year, government realize that there are some key areas that will need more funds, they can realign, squeeze money from one, sector of the economy and fix it in another economy. That does not mean that government is going outside the 2 billion. That means government is spending within the confines of the 2 billion. That is allowed, by law. And clearly, it happens and it trickles down. What we need to appreciate, like I mentioned in my introductory submission, I said the economy is now lifting itself up. Every economy that is lifting itself up, the economy has a trail. And in economics, we always compare and make reference, because we want to know where we are going, where we're coming from, and where we are going. Because history matters. There's no way you talk about economics without looking at the historical data. Because the historical data guides you. And in fact, that is what guides in our projections. If you want to budget, the numbers that we see there, most of the time you have to go back in the years, what has been happening. And then you add on or you subtract, looking at what is likely to happen in the future, by the qualitative and then possible risks that may come up. So clearly you can compare data in the previous years as required. Now let me also chip in this with the SOEs. Clearly in the budget you can see a paragraph on cocoa board new bill that has been proposed. It tells you that government recognize in terms of funds under management what cocoa board can do to the economy. So the new bill, one way or the other, touches on the SOEs. So I'm okay with the budget, but then what I'm expecting is that Ghanaians to exercise patience, because we have been in a situation that even the real returns on our investment was negative. Now we are enjoying positive real returns. Whichever the case may be, when you invest in treasury bills, you still have extra returns that you can enjoy. So from where I sit, apart from your capital returning to you, you can still have some extra returns for other things. So the economy is in the right direction. Let's not put pressure on ourselves and say that, finance minister, go and spend in this area, go and spend in that area, and then we slip back. The reason why we found ourselves in economic difficulty was, financial mismanagement, public sector financial mismanagement. And clearly, we can't go back to that. And we need to forge forward and look at how disciplined we can be to ensure that we spend wisely and prudently to keep the economy on track.
Right. Prof, thank you very much. We'll be taking a quick break. Before we do, I'll just read a few messages. Honorable, some people from your constituency are sending you messages. Good morning to you and all your panelists, especially Honorable Simon Aworigo, MP for Navrongo Central Constituency. We love him so much. Navrongo is grateful for all his achievements within his 2 years of leadership. My name is Atampugri from Naga Chaba. So, Afakwa, you are saying that his people are happy and the people are responding.
Somebody may be in your car waiting for you.
Honorable Awarigo is really on top of issues. Your people are really proud of you. This is from Isaac Apugi. This person also says that the MPP speakers are there criticizing everything presented by the finance minister. MPP chopped yesterday's money, current money, and future money before leaving office. The debt to be paid in the next 2 years is 111 billion. They should be ashamed of themselves. This is Kweku from La Paz. And then this also from Kwakupo, which says, please let us know who selects sites for 24 hours. Is it the people in various areas or the central government? I'll read one more and just take the break. I think, and without sounding partisan, I think the submission of our brother in the Jesse, Afuakwa, must be viewed critically. Ghana must come out with serious policy of producing, selling and promoting locally produced commodities to boost our local economy. The situation of turning our economy into distributors and sellers of foreign goods is so much disgraceful and misaligned with any serious sustainable economy policy of any country. This is Japhet, who has included his credentials. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the Wontumi case. So we'll be right back after this break.
Stay back and stay safe. The National Petroleum Authority is cautioning the public to desist from scooping or fetching fuel from overturned fuel tankers at accident scenes. Do not get closer to the scene in an attempt to take videos or pictures. Inhaling the petroleum product is detrimental to your health. Worst of all, petroleum products are volatile and highly flammable, and a small spark can trigger a catastrophic explosion, causing deaths and loss of property. Call the Ghana Fire Service or Ghana Police personnel to handle the scene, or reach the National Petroleum Authority's contact center on 0302 550 380. Your life is worth more than a gallon of fuel. This Save a Life campaign is from the National Petroleum Authority.
From the heart of Africa we stand, building dreams across the land. Every step we dey your side, helping you rise, taking you higher.
Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher. African Bank with global reach. BOA make your future glow. BOA, we go there for you night and day. Strong as a group, close as a partner. Bank of Africa lifting you higher.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Well, Lawyers, welcome back. Proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa and the NPA. Appreciation to them. So back in the studio, we are going to discuss the prosecution and the sentencing of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Bernard Ntwi-Boasiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, lawyer Afuakwa, and lawyer Powers, together with Honorable Simon, in here to discuss the issues into details. Along the way, we'll dovetail into the issue of this free speech, and then if time permits us, also we would touch on the Ken Ofori-Atta extradition / immigration issue. So Afuakwa, let me start with you on the Wontumi, and then I'm starting with you for obvious reasons. We heard that he's been convicted and given a 20-year jail sentence for what has been referred to as breaching a condition in the act, where he leased what had been given to him without permission from the ministry, technically. There's been a lot of public sentiments. From your point of view as a lawyer, what's your take?
Thank you, Kojo. And as members of the reading community, or community of reading men, it is disingenuous for persons who have not apprised themselves with the entire record of proceedings to conclude that a defense lawyer did not act in accordance with the interest of his client.
So let's do this. It's 9:20 on my time. I'm giving you 10 minutes.
Right. The process of arrest, investigation, arraignment before court, trial, and eventual conclusion of the case, rendering in a judgment that convicted and sentenced Mr. Bernard Ntwi-Boasiako and Akontah Mainen to some terms imprisonment and some fines. It started some 9 months ago, and I have been through with him during the time of arrest, investigations, arraignment before court, throughout the trial before the court. And I must say that inasmuch as we respect the decision of the court, the decision of the High Court of the Republic of Ghana, we strongly disagree with the conviction and sentencing of Mr. Bernard Ntwi-Boasiako and Akontah Mainen. Because, one, the judgment cannot stand, having regard to the totality of evidence on record. The sentence was harsh and excessive under the circumstances, and has occasioned a grave miscarriage of justice against Mr. Ntwi-Boasiako and Akontah Mainen. Why do we say so? Mr. Ntwi-Boasiako, Akontah Mainen, and one director called Kwame Ntwi, who was at large during the trial, were charged with 2 counts of offenses, each culminating into 6 counts of offenses. 1, assignment of mineral rights without authorization. And when we see authorization or ministerial approval, assignment is a process where a mineral right holder has a right to transfer his or her interests in a mining concession to a third party. But there is a procedure upon which one can legally assign a mineral right to a third party, that it must go through the Minerals Commission to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who has a proprietary right conferred to him by the state to grant mineral rights or otherwise. Mr. Bernard Ntwi-Boasiako was approached by one Henry Okum for the purpose of mining. He declined, but that is on record, that Akontah Mainen is interested in gold. That is why they paid several millions of dollars to secure the concession. And having gone through this, they are in a preparatory stage, and that they have realized that there are some illegal miners on the concession, so they were going to clear them so that they could reclaim the illegally mined portions and plant coconuts. So he shared his business proposal, that is with the coconut plantation, with the said Henry, who is a businessman, and he fell for it. That yes, if coconut could generate $1 billion in a certain period of time, then it is a safe investment for him to do. So then he would like to join. And like our traditional parlance called Abusan, Abunu, and those kind of things, when you grant a portion of your land for cultivation, or the purpose of Abusan, Abunu, and that kind of tenancy, the shared tenancy cultivation, you do not put in money. So the gentleman, realizing the investment capital reclamation that was proposed to him, became interested in the matter and said, then I would like to join. So he was given the right of entry. Then let's go and reclaim the portions, then start planting coconut seedlings, of which, as I speak to you now, over 18,000 seedlings of coconut has been planted, which yield is expected in the coming year.
So the coconuts have been planted?
Yes, over 18,000 seedlings have been planted. And the agreement was that they were going to plant 30,000 seedlings of coconut to generate over $1 billion, where they were going to use the how do you call it? The hacks for how do you call tissue and those kind of things. They will use the hard core within it for this how do you call it? They call it charcoal briquettes and those kind of things. And the water apparently sell it like what the smell of this thing that you drink.
Why are you pointing at me?
Oh yeah, because you take small. No, I don't. You take small. Then the inside lining, the whitish material for baby foods and those kind of things. So it was a series of projects that they were going to do with the value chain and value addition and those kind of things. The gentleman started. The man in Chibo Siako has never been to the site before. And it is on record that he has never been to the site before. But the purpose upon which he granted legal entry for Mr. Okum to go onto the land was to reclaim for the purpose of their commercial coconut production, not for gold mining purposes. Henry Okum, desirous was also getting gold and those kind of things, hiding in the forest or hiding on the concession, decided to also win for gold without notice to Mr. Benin Chibo Siako and Akonta Mining. In fact, during cross-examination, he admitted that the gold that he was winning on the concession, he never shared same with Mr. Chibo Siako. 1. So it absolves Mr. Chibo Siako of any conspiracy. 2. The machinery, the workers, and all those purposes on site. In fact, when the police conducted a swoop on the concession, they arrested some guns and other items. And all those things, vehicles, excavators, and those things. Initially, the minister organized a press conference and put out a statement that all those things were for Akonta Mining, those were properties of Akonta Mining. But investigations established that those were not properties owned by Akonta Mining or Mr. Benin Chibo Siako, and it was owned by Mr. Henry Okum, who was the PW2. He was arrested. The first prosecution witness was Michael Jedu-Eisi, who was the foreman of Henry Okum. When he was asked under cross-examination whether or not he has had conference, an interaction with Mr. Benin Chibo Siako before the first accused person, he said no. He has never met Mr. Untumi. He has never seen him personally before. The only time he saw Mr. Untumi was on television, as people are watching us from their homes now. We asked him, did you hear the conversation between Mr. Chibo Siako and Henry Okum? As far as your entry onto the concession, say no. The only thing is that Mr. Okum told him that Mr. Bo Siako said they should go and reclaim the land, plant coconuts. These were material evidence that were on record. In fact, the prosecution called 4 witnesses. And out of these 4 witnesses, 1 was the investigator. 2 was the lawyer for the Minerals Commission, Joseph Iroku. 3 was Michael Jedu-Eisi and Henry Okum. These were the witnesses on record. So as far as evidence is concerned, it is the evidence of these 4 people that can make the accused persons, whether culpable or not culpable, as far as the charges that have been preferred against them were concerned. So first, the first prosecution witness denied any personal knowledge of the agreement between Henry Okum and Mr. Bernard Tribo-Osiaku in Akonta Mining. So he was not, his testimony, you cannot place any weight on the testimony of Michael Jedu Eyisi. So he's out. 2, Joseph Iroko came as an expert witness for the prosecution, and he came to enumerate the procedure for assignment. He was also asked under cross-examination whether Akonta Mining, through Mr. Bernard Tribo-Osiaku, put in an application for an assignment for and on behalf of the second prosecution witness, Henry Okum. He said no. Whether or not they have any document on record to say that there was an attempt to assign, with or without ministerial approval, where the second prosecuting witness was granted the legal right to go onto the concession to go and mine. He said no. So it means that as far as the charge of assignment was concerned, there was no direct material evidence on record from the prosecution. And in terms of assignment, I am baffled to read from the judgment that circumstantial evidence can be construed from the matters before the court to occasion a conviction that A1 assigned the mineral right of Akonta Mining to PWU2. The specific law that regulates mining in Ghana is the Mining and Minerals Act of 2006, Act 703, as amended, is the legislation that regulates the conduct of mining in Ghana, and it defines what assignment is and the process of assignment. 2, in terms of land, and when you are talking of mining, you cannot mine in the air. You will mine on land.
Right.
The legislation that regulates, the specific legislation that regulates land transaction in Ghana is the Lands Act of 2020, Act 1036, which defines what an assignment is. That assignment is an instrument of conveyance, and it is a written instrument. You cannot orally assign a portion of land to anyone. Lawyer Powers is here, my brother is here. You cannot assign by word of mouth. The law specifically requires that assignment should be by way of a written instrument. So if you are charging somebody of an assignment, which there is a punishment ascribed to it under the Mining Act, then the essential element of the offense of assignment should be that were there a written instrument, it should be one of the paramount element of consideration, which, with respect to Her Ladyship Justice Audrey Kokuviti, throughout her 59 uncertified judgment that is before us, did not define what assignment is per the judgment, and what elements constitute the offense of assignment of mineral right without authorization. Clearly, it tells you that the judgment is riddled with errors. Clearly, it tells you that the judgment fundamentally is riddled with errors. Once the law defines what an assignment is, you cannot impose onto yourself to create an arena. That is why Learners Counsel Atachia asked that, pursuant to Article 1911, which states that before one can be tried for an offense, there should be a law which prohibits the said act with punishment ascribed to it. So if you are charging the person with an assignment and challenge the court to refer some provisions of the Mining and Minerals Act of 2006, Act 703, to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to interpret, because the provisions were vague. There were no end points as to what constitutes what the trial stood on. So clearly, there were errors in whatever went on in the court. And again, you see,
end on that one, because you've done 12 minutes now.
I'm coming. This is very important. I believe that as a proprietary person who was part of the prosecution, the testimony that I'm sharing will help your viewers and other people to also get some material insight into what has transpired today that we are discussing. As far as criminal prosecution is concerned, the prosecution holds the highest burden to prove beyond reasonable doubt the guilt of the accused person beyond all reasonable doubt. And this principle of law was decided by the House of Lords and was delivered by Viscount Sankey in 1935 in the United Kingdom, and Ghana as a common law jurisdiction, we subscribe to this principle. We hold high that principle. This judgment, what this judgment tells us is that from all the prosecution witnesses that came, the court could only convict and sentence Mr. Benanantwibo Osiako and Akonta Mining with a testimony of an accomplice, because we are told by the Deputy Attorney General that the prosecuting witnesses entered a plea bargain arrangement with the state, and that having entered a plea bargain arrangement with the state means that they have admitted to their guilt, and now their status have changed from suspects or accused persons to accomplices. And the Supreme Court of Ghana has warned that trial courts should exercise caution on testimony of accomplices without corroboration. The grounding of the court's conviction is anchored on the testimony of Henry Okum, that Mr. Ntwibo Osiako specifically agreed with them to reclaim the land, plant coconut seedlings, and mine the unmined portions. And the judge went to town by saying that because Mr. Ntwibo Osiako did not finance the project, did not put in money, the implied arrangement is that the man should go and mine and use the proceeds of the mine to do the reclamation, because reclamation is expensive, and to plant the coconut. This is an implied reasoning. There is no evidence on record to suggest same. There was no corroboration on the part of Henry Okum from the prosecution. They did not prove their case. So this case shouldn't have even crossed the threshold of submission of no case. When we apply to the court that the court should enter a submission of no case on behalf of the first and third accused persons, the court should have held that sacred.
But you agree that corroboration in this instance does not have to be corroboration by another person. It can be corroboration by any outside proof that matches one side of the story.
And that proof must be on record. It should not be extraneous. This is criminal trial. That is why, how do you call it? In the Republic versus Bafumoni case, disclosures have been a material, essential material tool in criminal jurisprudence in Ghana, that you need to furnish the accused persons with the proprietary evidence and documents that the state is relying on to prosecute them, to prepare their defense. And all the proprietary documents the state presented in this trial did not suggest any shred of assignment of a sort. Did not suggest any shred of assignment of a sort, because there was no instrument of a conveyance to propose an assignment, a deed of assignment to Mr. Henry Okum. There was no proof on record to suggest that indeed Mr. Bernard Ntwibo Osiako agreed to the commission or to facilitate unlicensed mining on the concession of Akonta Mining. There was no proof. But indeed there was proof that yes, he asked for reclamation, which was corroborated by the testimonies of even the witnesses of the state, to plant coconuts, which was also corroborated by them. But the lingering aspects of mining, the unmined portions, there was nothing on record, no evidence on record to suggest that indeed Mr. Bernard Ntwibo Osiako, now a convict, authorized the said operations. And this has occasioned a grave miscarriage of justice against the person of Mr. Bernard Ntwibo Osiako, serving a 20-year jail term.
So take a chill, drink a bit of water. I'll come back to you. You don't want to drink the water?
No, let me land here. You see, when Mr. Atachia filed a motion for the court to refer some questions of constitutional interpretation to the Supreme Court, this is right in law, that lower courts, anytime there is a disparity as to a question of law that needs interpretation, will stay their hands and refer that question to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to pronounce on same, which matters. When you read this judgment, under page 12 of the uncertified judgment before us, Her Ladyship Justice Audrey Kokuviti, in referencing that those provisions need not interpretation, and dismissed the motion by Learning Senior Atachia for her to refer same to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to interpret. Referred his disposition to referred the case of the Republic versus Mekankai, which is a 1971 case, which was in force. That principle is that anytime a trial court finds a provision of law, a provision of the Constitution to be clear, must apply the law. That was the grounding of her leadership. Forgetting that principle of law, the Supreme Court has departed from the principle in the Republic versus Mekankai.
Okay.
It is no more a good law. Okay. Because in ex parte Zaneto, where the court reference, her leadership with respect to her, reference the Republic versus High Court Accra General Jurisdiction, ex parte Zaneto Ajimai Rawlings, interested party Nia Mashiti and Addit. She did not elaborate the principle of law in ex parte Zaneto, but she only mentioned the case and left it there. But in Mekankai, she referenced the principle in Mekankai, which the Supreme Court has departed from since 2015 in ex parte Zaneto. In ex parte Zaneto, Justice William Atuguba, JSC, as he then was, speaking for the court, stated that when rival meanings are ascribed to a provision of law or of the Constitution, lower courts must stay their hands and refer that question to the Supreme Court for interpretation. And that the mere saying that the provisions are clear amounts to interpretation of the law, that the courts do not have the power.
Thank you.
This is the position now. Yes. But this is what her leadership referred to and grounded her refusal of Atachia's motion for referral to the Supreme Court on.
Honorable, you are being accused of political imprisonment of Chairman Buntumi.
Thank you very much. So,
he's a political prisoner.
Some of these issues should be devoid of partisanship. And our environment is at stake, our livelihoods and our lives are at stake.
The same position we are on it now.
I mean,
agriculture. We allowed you 20 minutes uninterrupted. I've 20 minutes uninterrupted.
Agriculture and farming, I mean, fishing, and all sort of things are being destroyed. And so when we're looking at this issue of Galamsey, illegal mining, it should be devoid of politics, social status, and all those sort of things. I mean, the judgment has been passed, and as politicians, we always have one thing or the other to say about judgments that are coming from our courts. But like it or not, these are the courts that we have, these are the judges that we have, and we have every confidence in these judgments, even though we may disagree with whatever judgments they give us, depending on whether they go the way we want or they don't go the way we want. I will say that is why the system has an appeal process, where if a judgment does not go the way you like it, and I mean, him as a lawyer, he knows that he has every right to appeal the judgment that has been given against his client. And so I'll want to appeal to him that they go through the appeal process, whatever it is, and ensure that where they have issues, I mean, they can put together a stronger case, and then maybe their case can be proven, and then maybe the sentence can be looked at again. But we cannot hide under politics to destroy our environment, destroy our country, and then put everybody in jeopardy. I mean, whether it was right or was wrong and all of that, I'm sure this is a judge, and this is not his first case. He would have, looked at several cases before arriving at this one. And so, we don't want to say that he doesn't know, the judge didn't know what she was saying. I want to say that the door is open, they should appeal if they have issues, and then let's move on. But a warning to everyone that we cannot destroy our country because some individuals want to amass wealth at the expense of everyone. Let us ensure that we do things the right way. This is a big signal to everyone out there. And the president has said very clearly, even if you are in his government, if you are involved in this, you definitely face the law.
Is that really true? Because remember the president mentioned some time ago that 2 key members of the party have been referred to the Attorney General. Up to now, we've not heard anything.
And I know these are things that are still ongoing. But what they call Untumi's case did not start today. I'm happy that he said it started some 9 months ago. I'm sure that everything cannot happen in one day, And surely, if there's a case established against them, that case will be brought to court, and they'll go through the process that everybody goes through. The law should be the same for everyone, and I believe that is what it is. As for complaining and saying that Wontumi or whoever should not have done whatever it is, we've always said, I mean, in opposition, we complained severally about some of the judgments, but the fact is that the judges are working based on the law. And that is what we said, the unanimous whatever, FC and all those. It didn't stop the court from doing their work. And kudos to them. They have to continue to deliver the judgments and that they consider to be right and to build our country. And that is what I'll have to say on that.
Thank you. Now, Lawyer Powers, in criminal matters, you judges, you lawyers say that you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. It's not on the balance of probabilities. Now, this is a case where the prosecution witness says the accused one gave us the land, or the accused one who represents accused three gave us the land to go and mine. The accused one says, no, I gave you the land to go and do reclamation. Your word against my word. At the end of the day, I mean, in law, you normally say that oath versus oath. Normally, it's on the side of the accused because you don't want to convict somebody when you don't have full. Exactly. But in this instance, from what lawyer Afokwa is saying, the judge eventually took the side of the prosecution witness and then has ended up jailing based on balance of probabilities, technically.
Yes. What we must understand is that we have direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. So where you cannot have direct evidence, or you don't have direct evidence to link an accused person to the commission of a particular crime, you look at the circumstances. So it is another avenue that you can also extract to see if you can find accused culpable. But the position of the law is strict on the use of or the usage of circumstantial evidence, that it must lead to only one conclusion, and one conclusion only. That where the surrounding circumstances lead to multiple conclusions, then you cannot convict. Or where it creates doubt that it may have been the accused or it may not be the accused, then you cannot convict. And as you well articulated, because the liberty of an accused person is involved. But let me tell you something. You know, the new craze in town where we turn co-accused persons into prosecution witness is dangerous.
I was going to ask that question after, because for me it's danger. I mean, a simple analogy for me, and somebody might say it's far-fetched. I have a licensed gun, and I give my licensed gun to you to keep for me. You use a licensed gun to go kill somebody. You are arrested, and you say, oh, I give the gun to you to go kill the person. And they say, okay, if you agree to testify against me that I gave you the gun, you can walk away from murder. Exactly. You testify and I am jailed for murder, and you walk free.
Exactly. And it worries me because, you see, Article 19 is clear. At what point will you disregard the fundamental right or the right of an accused person to fair trial? But when you read the judgment clearly, and like you were said, the judge had to decide between two opinions. Wontumi opinion and that of Henry Okun. It's a slippery ground. It's a slippery ground. In fact, when you look at the whole judgment, honestly, personally, when you look at the whole judgment, it was not stimulating for me. It was more like you were just reading a story. Like you are just reading a normal story. And it's because of the charges preferred against Wontumi and the company and the two others by the Attorney General. They were easy. The easiest charges they could go for, so that they could grant conviction. And I think we must be able to revise our laws. Because when we are dealing with the fundamental human rights of people, we must be careful of how we arrive at conclusions. this decision, I support, like Honorable said, I support every attempt to appeal this decision because he's entitled to that. And so long as people have issues with the decision or the judgment, then they have grounds to appeal. But we must find a way to discourage this use of, or the usage of co-accused persons as prosecution witnesses. We must find a way of avoiding that pitfall. It's a danger, it's a slippery, in fact, if we don't take care, because the question is this: how do you choose which accused person to prosecute? In a case where you have 2 or 3 accused persons, how do you choose who to go for?
You normally would use the smaller fish to get a bigger fish. So in this instance, Henry was the smaller fish, Untumi was the bigger fish.
So are you not being discriminatory? They are all accused persons. They are alleged to have committed crimes against the state. Why are you going for one person and leaving the other person?
Because the promise was that we will stop going after the people who are caught and go after the financiers. That's the promise, campaign promise before.
But the person himself confessed that he's also a minor. He's not a worker. Henry Okum is a miner himself. He owns a mining company. Is he a small fish? He's a big fish. In this case, if you want to talk about small fish, then we're talking about Mike Easy. He is a small fish. He was a foreman, or he is a former for Erokum. I'm saying that it's because the whole thing is more like a movie. So we are choosing, so the 4 of us will choose the person to attack. And you do that based on your mindset, what you have in mind. So there must be, you have already judged that this person, I'll get this person, so let me go for this person. I'm saying that let us, if we are going for all of them, let us go for all of them. And I want to also,
this was premeditated.
No, the
this
thing
conviction.
is, no, not the conviction. The court has done its work. As for the judge, she has done her work.
Okay, so
based on the fact,
are we suggesting that the person involved, there was premeditation? We need to get this guy. No, let's find a way to get this guy.
I think so, because I think the Attorney General has been clear on this, and you will notice that I've been one individual who has consistently opposed or criticized the manner in which the Attorney General has been making his public commentaries, which I have concluded that they amount to prejudgment. Some of his commentaries about accused persons or persons of interest, persons they are investigating, some of the commentaries he passed are too conclusive. So I think in this case, the government had the intention that let's go for this person, which was why they had to decide who to become a prosecution witness. But why can't Chairman Untumi become a prosecution witness?
Maybe he didn't go for that plea bargain. He should have gone for it.
That is it. The thing is that, don't forget that plea bargain is subject to the acceptance of the government.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Represented by the chief prosecutor, which is the AG.
Yes, the deputy AG.
Yes.
Yes. So if he won't accept it, he won't accept it. Even in the.
But for plea bargain, you should be willing to give something that is more beneficial to them. So, for instance, if Untumi could kind of look, I would come for a plea bargain, and I'm prepared to give you somebody who is bigger, a whale. Probably they would have gone.
But you're sorry to come in. Okay. Listen, but Untumi started some plea bargain at some point. And
no, that's for the.
No, I know, but I'm saying that. So I'm saying that it's not the case that he never had the opportunity. It may not be in this particular case, but I'm saying that
was there for
exactly.
Him.
That's what and I'm also saying that the accused becoming a witness is in law, isn't it? It's allowed, no? Accused becoming
honorable member.
It's not as if it's something
when an accused person applies for a plea negotiation, the onus is on the AG to write back to the accused person, whether they indicate acceptance or not. We only heard in the news that the Deputy Attorney General is saying that in their mind they had rejected even the application made. So it means that even in their hearts and mind, that is what he said. They have not written officially to us as to whether or not
they rejected it.
They rejected or not, but they
anyway.
My point was that, in fact, there is no law that covers the use of co-accused persons. they use it.
Is it a practice?
It's a practice that is creeping in, but it's not predominant. And I'm saying that we must check that, because the proclivity of, or the likelihood of using or basing conclusions on one opinion can be damaging. That's why I'm saying that we must put in safeguards. And the safeguard should be to ensure that the provisions of Article 19 are strictly adhered to. That when you use a co-accused person, you must convict where the evidence is clear. Honorable, you get it? Because as for the practice, it's done. When you go to UK, in US, they do that.
That's where I was coming from.
No, they do that.
So there's nothing technically. There's nothing.
No, technically there's nothing.
The choice of who they picked.
That's one of my. That's one of my issues. The choice of the co-accused person. And secondly, had to do with that practice. If we should only use it where appropriate or where necessary, but it should, because I'm trying to prevent against it becoming a norm. When it becomes pervasive, it becomes dangerous.
It becomes part of
even
our
in
system.
fact, I would even go a step further. Even in this instance, if this person has agreed, he should have even had a reduced sentence, not to walk clean and be walking out there.
But understand, he, because of the plea bargain he went for, most of his assets were confiscated.
Exactly.
Those were what? So he,
he's not sleeping in jail.
No, but the point is that the plea bargain thing has been settled. There's a communication to that. There's communication to that.
No, it's been communicated.
No, it's been communicated.
No, he has his excavators.
Yes.
The money. You know the things that were confiscated during the raid. He agreed during the plea bargaining agreement that the state should take them.
You don't have that much to the law. Let me tell you something. The law allows that equipment used for the purpose of illegal mining automatically, once the person is convicted, is automatically confiscated to the state. No, but so he has no agreement to say.
No, but
he said that off.
I know that the thing is that I'm saying that is one of the benefits he brought to the table.
Yeah.
But we must understand
for his freedom.
Yes, for his freedom.
Yes.
We must understand the plea bargain doesn't mean you should go to jail. You are pleading to a lesser offense.
That's what I know, but I'm saying that the lesser one should be lesser number of custodial.
No. Don't forget that we just even passed a non-custodial sentence bill.
I'm waiting for assent.
Exactly, which is also a good thing. If you find somebody, or if someone is charged for a lesser crime, and the person go and weed or do manual work in place of jail, because I'm not in favor of jailing people.
No, but you're saying what it is.
Yes.
You know,
so the thing is that Henry Okun went for a lesser one. But I'm saying that, let's not make it pervasive. You remember in the previous administration, Godfrey Dame was trying to use one of the accused person in Japa. Was trying to use Japa against the current finance minister.
Yes.
So that's a co-accused. That's a co-accused
thing.
Exactly. The person was on trial, and he said,
"Only for me." So
and then unfortunately turned against him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get it. So that's what I'm saying. That it's a practice. It's good where necessary, because sometimes you must be able to take drastic measures.
Yeah.
But let's not make it too pervasive.
I get
I mean,
but I think the best way is appeal if you feel.
Exactly. And like you said, this is right.
We are definitely
nobody is preventing.
I mean, the Wontumi case is a developing story, so we'll have more time.
Of course.
We have just 5 minutes. I would want to give that to my immigration. I'll come back to you. She just joined on Zoom. We'd have to speak on the Ken Ofori-Atta matter. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
I think you are. Check whether you are muted.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. Is it good morning or good dawn? Which one?
It depends. It's almost 6 a.m. So whichever works for you.
Okay. So good morning. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm great. The last time we spoke, we were speaking about Ken Ofori-Atta, and today we are back to speak about him again. Yes.
Yes, sir.
But today, before we go into details about Ken, I just want you to just give us a fair idea on how the U.S. extradition process is like. Just a summary of it.
Definitely. So it's usually initiated by the Department of Justice. As a matter of fact, the Department of Justice on their website give step-by-step procedures. So it's initiated by them, and then when you go through that process, then it's referred to a U.S. District Court. After it is referred to a U.S. District Court, if they deem that the evidence you have presented is credible or you've met your burden, then they liaise with the Department of State to extradite you. So there are different federal agencies that need to come together to make this happen, and it's always a step-by-step process, starting with the Department of Justice.
So, in comparing the an immigration proceeding and an extradition proceeding, what would be the obvious differences between the two?
So, immigration proceedings are initiated by the Department of Homeland Security. And I know this because I used to work in an immigration court some time ago. So basically, an immigration proceeding is where they are saying that you have violated the laws of the U.S. You either came to the U.S. through a means that you were not supposed to come through, like the border, or you came through a means that you should come with, like a visa, but you have overstayed your visa. So that is initiated by the Department of Homeland Security. We call everybody immigration, but it's initiated by one of the immigration agencies solely because they have found that either you didn't use the right ways to come into the U.S., or you came into the U.S. with the right ways, but you have overstayed your visa, as opposed to the extradition process that is initiated by the Department of Justice specifically because of crimes or allegations of certain crimes.
Okay, so now let's zoom in on the Ken Ofori-Atta case. Now, we heard that the judge in this case indicated that the case or the criminal proceedings that government was using as basis for him to be extradited to Ghana, for want of a better term, did not carry that much weight, and so for that reason it could not approve that extradition. Can you explain to us what exactly that means?
Definitely. So his case is actually an interesting case because he was detained, right? So when he was detained initially, he asked for bond, and the last time I came here, I explained that process. The bond was granted. Now, when you are in removal proceedings, remember, you are picked up because you are in removal proceedings because they say that you have violated the U.S. immigration laws. The judge will ask you, are you applying for any sort of relief? Is there a reason that we should not deport you? In this case, he had different applications, right? His son was a U.S. citizen. His son, who is a U.S. citizen, filed for an I-130 for him. That's a petition for alien relative. His son was saying, listen, I want to file for my father. Now, this is not uncommon. It happens all the time. So many people are in the U.S. because of that. I am in the U.S. because of that, because my mom filed for me. So it's not uncommon at all. Additionally, he also applied for asylum. So there was the I-130, shook I-45, and then asylum. Now, after USCIS granted the I-130, then they had an application for green card, which was granted. So I was reading the transcript that everybody is referring to right before I came on this morning. And the judge just says that there is nothing that was preventing him from exercising a favorable discretion, because when you're in immigration court proceedings, the judge has discretion on your case. So it could be that you can meet all the legal elements, but the judge has to exercise discretion. For example, earlier on this year, I was representing somebody very similar. The person was also picked up by ICE. The person was in detention. This person's spouse had filed for him. So very similar to this case. And it was my job as the lawyer to prove that this person warranted a favorable exercise of discretion. In other words, this person is a good person, right? This person committed a crime, or in this case, in Ken's case, has been alleged of committing a crime. But the onus lies on the lawyer to prove that this person is still a good person. So I was reading the transcript, and the lawyers actually got experts from Interpol. The lawyers actually got affidavits saying that he's a good person, he goes to church, and all of that is deliberate to convince the judge that this person is actually a good person, and the person deserves a favorable exercise of your discretion. In other words, it's a good person, don't deport this person. Give this person whatever they are legally entitled to. In this case, his son filing for a green card for him.
Interesting. So one of the things we know the judges consider when they are, or pay attention to when they are considering this request for permanent stay, let me just use that as a cliche, is the person, a criminal conduct of the person. Now in this case where there seemed to be a charge of criminal conduct in his home country, it's interesting that despite that, the judge still went ahead and said that I will still go ahead and grant this immigration request.
So yes, I was reading the transcript, and the government attorneys made the point that you are making, that this person has criminal issues. And the judge said that an affidavit was submitted by OSP. The affidavit was 200 pages. However, the judge didn't find that the affidavit had enough legal merit to say that this person is convicted, this person is a criminal, so let's not give him a green card. Remember, it's one thing to say that this person did X, Y, Z. It's another thing to submit credible evidence to point this person to all the crimes. So that is what the judge was saying, that whatever the OSP submitted, they submitted something, but the judge was saying that it was not weighty enough. It didn't meet the legal standard that they were asking for.
Interesting. So in simple terms, what we saw, or what we have been told to be the docket that will be used to prosecute him, given to this judge, the judge did not think that it had the necessary ingredients to call it a criminal case, for that reason to deny him the immigration status.
You're partly right. So okay. There are proceedings going on. What the judge was saying was that these proceedings, what you have given, you've given me a 200-page affidavit, but it does not contain, because there are legal standards, right? There's a burden. There's always a burden of proof. Sometimes it's preponderance of the evidence. If it's preponderance of the evidence and I submit credible or beyond reasonable doubt, I haven't met that burden. So every time you're in court, or every time there's a legal proceeding, there was a specific threshold or a specific standard that you need to meet. So to the layman, oh yes, they sent evidence, oh yes, you can be like, oh Okasapa, the person said, but the question to ask is, have you met the legal standard or the legal threshold that is warranted for this particular proceeding? And the judge did not believe so.
Right.
If I may just clarify something, this judge, this is an immigration judge, right? I just want to clarify
one minute.
Immigration.
1 minute. We are going off live from GTV because we have a live program, but we are on GBC News, so viewers can switch to GBC News. We are going off GTV. So yes, you can go on.
So I just wanted to clarify something. A lot of people are concerned. Giving him a green card, so now that the judge says he wants a green card, it does not exonerate him from the extradition proceedings.
Right. That was going to be my next question to you, actually.
He can still be extradited as a green card holder. As a matter of fact, even if he becomes a U.S. citizen, he can still be extradited. There are case laws. There's a case law that the U.S. versus Charlie, where the person was extradited to Italy. There's several cases of U.S. versus Norwegia, where it was Panama's foreign leader that was still extradited. So a lot of people seem to be worried about this, but the law is very clear. Even if he has a green card, even if he's a U.S. citizen, if the district court, not this immigration court, if the district court deems that the Ghana government has met the burden of proving that he needs to be extradited, a green card or U.S. citizenship would not prohibit that. You will still follow the due process if the burden is met.
Right. Benita, thank you very much. I don't know if anybody has a question for Benedicta.
So yes, I have a question.
So you have clarified in this interview that is not the judgment is not on the crime that he's been accused of. It's on his immigration status, and I know that for a fact. But it's also important that in this program we make it very, very clear that Ken Ofori-Atta, our former finance minister, has not been cleared of the allegations of crimes against him, but that he has been cleared and been given the opportunity to stay in the US legally. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. So immigration proceedings are separate from the extradition proceedings, and they are also separate from the OSP proceedings in Ghana. So there are three different proceedings that are going on. Of course, information is being shared, and then the evidence is there. But you're absolutely right. It's a completely separate proceeding, and it does not exonerate him. Once the district court deems that they've gotten all the evidence needed from Ghana, even if he's a green card holder, even if he is a citizen, he can still be extradited. So right now it comes down to, will the evidence that they present be enough for the district court when it gets there?
Yeah, but Anita.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Well, thank you, sir.
You would agree with me that the document filed by the OSP was not appropriately tested in court, tested by the immigration judge. By which reason he arrived at the conclusion that it did not meet a particular threshold. So what threshold was he looking for? Because the OSP only filed a document. The OSP there was no representation to test the material. Was there?
So, sir, I'm a little bit confused by what you mean by test, because it's not a legal term. This is how immigration courts run. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, what everybody calls ICE, it is their burden to prove. So they were the ones that submitted it. Now, when DHS submitted it, when I read the transcript, they actually tried to make their case. They actually tried to say that there's been so much corruption. They actually tried to tie him to it. Now, what his lawyer said was that it is not enough. They tried to rebut even the constitutionality of OSP. The Attorney General has even said that it's not constitutional. They also submitted into evidence a report by KPMG. So, from what I read on the transcript, both sides had enough time. Both sides had the opportunity to defend the evidence in the record. And the judge reviewed everything. There was even actually an expert from Interpol that also testified. And the judge found that both the respondent, that's Ken Ofori-Atta, and then the Interpol expert were credible. That tells me that the judge gave everybody enough time. Both sides, that is the government whose burden it was to deport him, and Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers had the opportunity to present whatever evidence that they needed and also defend it. So I'm not sure what you mean by test, but when I read the transcript, I can tell that both sides had the opportunity to defend what they presented and send more evidence if needed.
Yes, but so the reason I mentioned test, you would agree that the proceedings that will be before the district court with regards to the extradition process is totally different from what the immigration judge is seized or was seized with, and the district court will have the full benefit of interrogating the evidence from both sides.
Absolutely, but it seemed like this immigration judge had the opportunity to do so. So then it's like the question we are trying to figure out is that the DHS do their due diligence. I guess that's what you're trying to say, because it's DHS's burden. So if I was a DHS officer and I knew that there was something in district court, I would try to get, and I went in an immigration court, I know for sure that they have access to all the information that they want. So if they wanted to, they could have liaised with the district court and get all the information that they needed and then presented it.
So if you were the DHS officer, what would you have done differently?
So this is not the first time that we are hearing that what is being presented is not sufficient. This came during the bond proceeding. I remember the first time I was here, I explained it. So this came during the bond proceeding. We've already heard a judge say that what they were submitting was not sufficient. So I probably would have figured out what exactly they needed and submitted it, especially since I've heard it before.
Okay, Benita, thank you very much. It's a Saturday morning, so we'll leave you to attend to your activities. But thank you for the time. And as usual, you've done justice to the topic for us. We'll come back to you. Hopefully, next time we'll come to you, will not be about extradition. It might be something else that is more positive and interesting for us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Right, sure. So, in studio, I don't know whether any of you. So, we have just like 10 minutes. So, for 5 minutes to close. So, if you want to comment on this one, just comment on it, then I can close. Okay, they say it's 2 minutes actually. So,
so my take on this one will be very simple. That I mean, Ken Ofori-Atta, our former finance minister, is a gentleman. He had a data bank and all sort of investments in this country. I mean, I think he served the country well. This is a man who didn't even take salary and all of that in government. And so, if today there are accusations against him, it's only fair and proper that he presents himself so that he is washed clean of those accusations.
That created salaries just to pay off whatever it is.
Well, I don't think if that would be enough. But the point is that you don't want to have that hanging over you as a former finance minister who've served your country very well. I feel that you don't want to end in this way. You started very well. You want to end very well. I mean, there are safeguards in our system. The courts are there and all of that. We have judges, we have lawyers here who will do everything they can to ensure that he gets justice. And if he doesn't, I mean, he will definitely get justice. There are appeal systems and all of that. So if we begin to run away from our own legal system and expect that other people should subject themselves to that, I don't think that is
it's even interesting. I hear that he was seeking asylum. I never heard it
so I just feel that he should come home and face the law.
The OSP must take a cue from what is happening.
Or it appears the OSP is not producing or submitting enough or adequate material.
But I thought last time the OSP clarified that it is not the OSP that submits, it's supposed to be the AG.
No, but they will prepare the AG is just a conveyor belt.
Yeah, so the AG should check the docket that OSP gives you. If it's not enough, you don't submit.
So
I'm bringing something, it's not enough and you submit and you want to come and blame me.
But
no,
relax.
1 minute. What he did
OSP is handling this matter. And they have always attempted to defend their position. In fact, when this issue came up, they issued a disclaimer that the issue before the immigration judge is significantly different from the one before the district court. But you had Benedicta. The thing is that the document you have before, if you know you have any other material different from what is before the immigration,
bring it.
You should have brought it. The OSP should be careful.
Anyway, how about your last take? Then
the Attorney General sometimes in the past granted audience to the press and gave timelines that Mr. Ofori-Atta will be in town. You remember?
Yes.
Yes. And that has long elapsed. And still Mr. Ofori-Atta is not in town.
He said he was in talks with his counterpart in the US and he was sure and gave the timelines.
So the talks are still ongoing, I guess. So let's leave that to the courts of the United States.
Right.
And again, I would like to thank His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia
for
staying out of the hypocrisy of the NDC as far as the one-term prosecution against free speech is concerned. Dr. Bawumia has been vilified in the past by proponents of the NDC. Basentali described him as a Muslim that eats pork with club beer and those things. And the videos are still there. The cyber security veteran committee team of the Ghana Police Service, they are still there. They have seen those videos, but they are not acting on
the actions they are taking is not retrospective. It's forward-looking.
Time has no expiry. There's no statute of limitation as far as criminal liability is concerned. So I am happy that the burden of proof as far as criminal prosecutions has been shifted. Now it has been reduced to the preponderance of probability.
Okay,
let posterity serve us and serve us well.
Yes, and said that the insolvent president was not a criminal.
Yes, but now they are hiding behind offensive conduct.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much to you all, my viewers. I apologize for not being able to read your messages. I see them coming in, but please forgive us. My appreciation to Professor Isaac Boadi, the Dean of Faculty of the Dean for the Faculty of Accounting and Finance, UPSA. Also to Professor Lord Mensah, economist and the head of local government services. He joined us via Zoom. In studio, we're joined by Enoch Afuakwa, member of the NPP legal team. We're also joined by Austin Kwabena Powers. He's a private legal practitioner. And then the MP for Navrongo Central, Honorable Simon Aworigo. And we're also joined online by Benedicta Ajiman, a U.S. immigration lawyer. For my technical team and myself, Kojo Vanes, we thank you for staying with us.